The story begins in African mercenary headquarters. An officer was briefing the soldiers on tonight's mission. Due to the nature of the mission, only a few soldiers were required. So only 5 squads, 49 of them in total, would be included, and the number of enemy soldiers was between 350 to 500 men. The mission was not to engage with them, just kill the target and retreat. The one who was leading the mission was none other than our protagonist. They had intruded 2 kilometers into the enemy territory and everything was going according to plan, but our protagonist had a premonition about this. His team member teases him for being on guard all the time when a bullet pierces through him. The enemy starts firing at them and they take cover. The enemies were using all the big guns from the start. Smithen knows he wouldn't survive this and told the captain to leave him. They were only a few meters away from their target, and they couldn't retreat with this many soldiers chasing them. So the captain decides to take out their target at least and charges forward. Just then, he gets sniped directly in the head. But the crazy part about this was that the bullet came from behind, meaning one of his squad members betrayed him and his squad. The enemy troops march forward while he was dying. He closes his eyes and hears someone calling him. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself in a hospital in Gangnam City, Korea. The doctor calls his guardians. He didn't know what was going on and why he was speaking Korean. No one could have survived that battle, so how was he still alive? He lashes out at the doctor, but he was shocked when he sees himself in the mirror. After a few days, he was discharged from the hospital. To summarize it all, before this, he was formerly the captain of a French mercenary troop, Kang Chen, 29 years old. He was carrying out a mission in Africa in 2016, and after getting shot, he woke up in another person's body in 2019. And surprisingly, his name was also Kang Chen. He was 19 years old senior high school student who fell from the rooftop of the school building and was in a coma for a few days. Of course, the one who woke up was not the same high school student. He arrives at his apartment and his mom keeps asking him if he remembers anything. The doctor had told them that he had lost his memory from the shock. He gets into his room and the first thing he does, he searches for the battle that was going on in Africa, but he couldn't find anything on the internet. He gets a message from a guy in his class who was threatening to kill him for not reporting to him after getting discharged from the hospital. The guy keeps threatening him, but Chen ignores all his messages. So he calls him and orders Chen to come to the school if he didn't want to die. Kang gets annoyed and blocks him. The bully was pissed and throws his phone, saying he was going to make him pay the next time he comes to the school. After searching for too long, he couldn't find anything about the French war. He craves cigarettes and looks through his stuff to find some. While searching, he finds his notes and what he saw inside completely shook him from the inside. The notes were full of resentment towards the bully and his frustrations. He realizes that the owner of that body was being bullied. The next day, he goes to school and everyone was staring at him. He didn't know where his class was and was looking for someone to help him. Just then the bully comes there who was messaging him, lashes out at him for hanging up on him. Chen just laughs at him and asks him if he had a cigarette on him. The bully gets angry and takes him to the basketball court. He was showing his jabs to scare Chen, but as the bully was going to attack him, Chen attacks him first, and in just one punch, he falls to the ground. Chen was instinctively about to kill him, but he refrains from doing that. While he was leaving, the bully gets back up and attacks him. Due to his weak body, his punch wasn't enough to take care of him, so he starts beating him brutally. After he was done with him, he looks for his class when a girl greets him and takes him to the class. She was in the same class as he was. The bully was also in the same class and he kept staring at Chang the whole time. He messages his other friends to meet him. During the PE class, the bully takes him somewhere isolated, while Chen gets annoyed and regrets not killing him when he had the chance. The other bullies were there and mocked the first bully for getting beaten up by a nerd like him. Chen told them to attack him all at once as he didn't want to waste his time. One of them gets annoyed at his cocky attitude and attacks him, only to get slammed on the ground. He told them about his weak spots and assigns all of them where they should attack him. But their ego gets hurt instead, and they attack him randomly. Due to his new body, he had to face some inconvenience, but he beats all of them up in the end, except bully number 1. The bully apologizes to him and promises not to mess with him again, but Chen was still not convinced. Just then, he feels someone behind him. It was the PE teacher. Chen was wondering how could a mere teacher come this close to him without him noticing. The teacher advised him not to go further than that, otherwise, it wouldn't be considered self-defense. While Chan was leaving, the teacher asks him where he learned to fight like that, to which he replies from the internet. At home, his parents got the news of him fighting and were angry at him. When comes home, they see that he had changed his hairstyle. He goes straight to his room while his father was scolding him. He comes back with all the notes that the original owner of the body had left behind. When they saw the notes, they were shocked and couldn't stop crying. They have a talk and apologize to him for not knowing this sooner. Seeing them caring for him, he remembers his childhood, which was not quite normal. They were very poor and his drunk father was abusive towards him and his mother. While he was leaving, his father gets a call from France, and because of the language barrier, there was a huge miscommunication that cost his father 130 million won. Chan takes the call and talks directly to the man in charge in the French language. His parents were stunned to see him speak French so fluently. He resolves the issue and told them that he learned that from the internet. In his room, he was thinking of going back to France once his body was completely healed. But now he was a little hesitant thinking about the parents. The next day at school, the bully comes to mess with Chan again and told him to follow them. When he doesn't agree, they threaten to harm Myoung. He doesn't remember who Myoung was. She was the girl that sits next to him. When he remembers her, he agrees to follow them. On the rooftop of the school, there were many more delinquents, and a group of girls was also there. Chan told them to get out of there and one of them starts giving him attitude. Chan slaps her in front of everyone. The bully promises her to get back at him 10 times and she leaves after that. He doesn't see Myoung with them. Myoung had just entered the class. After realizing that they were lying to him, he starts to leave when they surround him. The bully said to him if he was scared and wanted to jump again. He realizes that these guys were there when the owner of his body jumped off the roof. He asks him if they were here that day, and the bully reveals he was the reason he had jumped before in the first place. He was scared and begged for his life and fell off the roof on his own. Chan was furious and his body starts to tremble in anger. The bully was also prepared this time. He had brought the strongest guy in their school district to fight him. The guy makes fun of him for being so tiny. He lets his guard down and Chan manages to take him down in just one strike to the face. The other bullies attack him as well. They were armed with weapons that high schoolers shouldn't have, like knives, spiky bats and all. But still, he defeats all of them. One of them attacks him with a knife, so he goes as far as breaking his arm. And now only Lee Ha-jin was remaining. As Chan was about to beat him, the pay teacher comes there and stops him. This time, Chan was sure that he was not just a normal pay teacher. After the bullies were gone, the teacher was scolding him. The teacher uses the same phrase that one of his team members, Daewoo, used to say. He suspects that there could be a chance that he went through the same thing. He tests it by attacking the teacher out of nowhere. The teacher and Chan were going toe-to-toe against each other. They both stop in the middle of the fight. The teacher was shocked to see how a high schooler could fight like that and asked him who he was. Chan answers him with the phrase he used to say, he was the god of Blackfield. The teacher was stunned to know that the person in front of him was his captain, the legend, the god of Blackfield. After that talk for some time about all the things that happened to them, we see Daeru's side of the story, how he woke in someone else's body as a husband and a father, and how they helped him through it. Chan reveals that he was planning on going back to France to catch the traitor among them. Daewoo tries to stop him from going back to that hell, but he doesn't listen to him. Daewoo advised him that they should go there during the summer breaks. He also told him about the kids that he was fighting with, and how they were connected to gangsters. He goes to the nurse's office, making an excuse that he was sick. He suddenly gets up sensing someone coming to the office. It was the bully, who brought snacks for him as he was their leader now. Chan scolds him and he runs away. When school ends, Myoung was waiting for him. While they were leaving, the girl from the rooftop stops him and told him that someone wanted to meet him. But Chan ignores her, which pisses her official. Myoung want him to be careful of her because she sleeps with anyone. And while they were talking, we see some gangsters who were looking for him. They stop him to have a chat with him. Myoung asks her not to go, but he assures her that he would be fine. They said they just wanted to have a chat with him and told him to get inside the car. Chan doesn't agree to that, so one of them starts to mock his attitude. Chan gets his hands off of him, smacks him in the face, and slams him onto the ground. The other members attack him as well. Even though Chan was dodging all their attacks and striking them back, due to the reason that they were full-grown adults and he had still the body of a teenager, It was getting hard for even him to fight back. When he started to overpower them, the boss intervenes and kicks him aside. He still wanted to just have a talk, but Chen doesn't cut. So the main guy attacks him, and even though Chen blocks, he still receives damage from the sheer strength of the attack. Chen gets back at him and the others attack him as well. As the fight started to get intense, Mio-ung pretends to call the cops and they run away in their car. He sees that girl, Yoonsul, again, and advised her not to hang out with guys like those or she would get hurt badly one day. But she lashes out at him instead, who walks away while she kept screaming at him. The next day, some first year came to greet Chen and they hand him the weekly payment that they collected from the students. He scolds them and told them to return the money to the students. The PE teacher calls him to the counseling room. He asks him for a favor before he goes back to Africa. There were 4 students that were being severely bullied, so Daeru wanted him to help them out. At first, Chen denies it, saying once he was gone, the situation would get only worse. But Daeru made a deal with him that he would only have to attend 1 class. Chen agrees after that. While coming back to the class, he sees Yoonsul waiting for him. She was covering her mouth and was injured here and there. Chen ignores her again and she yells at him saying it was his fault that she got into this mess and started crying. Chen takes her to the roof and she told him that those guys from yesterday had told her to get Chen. Otherwise, they would have injured Hojin and her family. They even threatened to sell her to the brothel. He told her to call those gangsters. She calls him and Chen takes the phone to speak to them himself. He told them that he would come to them on Monday, and if they don't agree to that, he was not gonna come at all. The boss gives the signal and they agree to it. While going back home, Mio-ung follows her along. She asks him if he was going out with Yoonsul. He was surprised because that came out of nowhere. He denies it and asks her if she had a crush on him in a surprised voice. She thinks for a few seconds and agrees with him. He didn't know what to do. The next day at the weekend, he made an excuse to his mother that he was studying hard because it was his senior year, and went to hang out with Daeru somewhere isolated. They talk about how Daeru had gotten used to it and considered staying there himself. Chen told him that he was going to meet up with those gangsters, but he doesn't tell him the location where they were meeting, as he knows that he would follow him there behind his back. Chen orders him to stay out of this fight. Daeru advised him not to go and just let this slide, but Chen couldn't just let that slide. He arrives at his apartment and starts training to fight them. He could imagine the fights as if he was fighting them in real life. He could take down many of them at once, but due to his weak body, he would get stabbed and be defeated. His body was too weak to keep up with his speed and wondered if he was gonna even stand a chance against them. On the other hand, Mio-ung was waiting for Chen to reply to her back. The next day at the school gym, while Chen was training, Daeru asks him to let him help in this, but he refuses him. After he was done training, he goes outside where a car was waiting for him and he gets inside the car. The guy took him to their base where their boss welcomes him. He cuts to the chase and offers him to join their gang. Chen rudely told him to get his goons out of his school or he would beat the crap out of all of them. The boss gets pissed and his men attack him and the fight begins. On the one side was a whole gang, and on the other side was Chen, who wasn't even at his full potential yet. After he dealt with all of the goons in the room, the boss himself attacks him. He blocks his attack and takes him hostage. In the hall, he was shocked to see all his men. He threatens to snap their boss's neck if they come near him, but they don't care and attacked him. He was dodging all their attacks while taking the boss hostage. He was getting overpowered by them. The number 2 of the gang orders his man to kill him instead of trying to catch him. He smacks the number 2 in the face and lets go of the boss and tries to get out of their grasp. But they were consistent and were attacking him continuously, not giving him any chance to relax. Although he was still taking down many of them, he was almost out of breath. And the same goes for the goons as well. As if this wasn't enough, some more guys from that gang also come there. Chen could tell that these guys were definitely stronger than the others, and they have also killed before. As they were about to attack him, they hear a crash behind them. A guy in the mask was standing behind them. One of them attacks the guy in the mask, whom he easily defeats. Chen was also wondering who he was, but seeing their fighting style, he realizes it was none other than Daeru. While he took care of the goons, the 2 attacked Chen. They were fast, even faster than Chen. Chen was getting stabbed many times while trying to look out for the other one. He had lost too much blood. The guy with the mark on his face attacks him straight, which was impassable to dodge. He gets a flashback from his past, and in the present, He had barely blocked the attack with his bare hands, and now it was time for him to fight back. He smacks the guy's face to his head, and just in the next punch, the guy was on the floor. The other guy was shocked to see that, and while he was distracted by it, Chan attacks him, making him unable to move with just one punch. He was now unable to control himself, and as he was about to kill him, Daewoo stops him, and that brings him back to his senses. Chan gives the others a chance to leave if they didn't want to end up like them. They drop their weapon and get out of there. Chan falls to the ground all injured, unable to walk. Kang was so injured he couldn't even stand anymore. The teacher went to find something to cover him up. Kang looked for cigarettes, but he was out of it. As if it all wasn't enough, he heard the footsteps of many people. He wondered if they were back up. He tried to get back up even though he was heavily injured. The boss of the gang came in front and introduced himself as Kwong. He complimented him for taking down a whole gang on his own even though he was just a high school student. While he was blabbering all this, Kang asked him if he had cigarettes on him. One of his men got angry at him for talking rudely to their boss, but the boss scolded him instead. The teacher also came there, which made Kwong wonder what kind of duo was that. One of his men informed him that no one was dead, but they were heavily injured. He was here to take care of this gang as well, but it was already wiped out. They resolved the situation quietly, and Boss Kwong took him to a hospital. When Kang woke up, he found himself in a hospital. The teacher told him that he passed out as soon as he got inside Kwong's car, and he was out for a while. The teacher had informed his parents saying he would be staying with him. Kang remembered what had happened and thought to himself that it wouldn't have happened if it was his old body. Boss Kwong entered the room and Kang asked him for the cigarettes again, which annoyed him. He told him how he hit a Jack without lifting a finger because of him, so he was going to do a favor on him of his choosing. Kang asked him not to bother his school or recruit students from his schools. Boss Kwong warned him to watch his back because he was now a target of many people, but Kang rudely replied that it was not something he should be worried about. Boss Kwong got angry and told him to stay in his lane. Even if he benefited from his actions, he wouldn't tolerate his behavior. There was tension between them, but Boss Kwong let it slide this time. After he was gone, the teacher told Kang that Myung was texting him non-stop, but he ignored her texts. The teacher informed him that according to the doctors he would be admitted to the hospital for at least 1 month. Kang said he was going to stay for just a week and told the teacher to tell his parents he was in an accident. After a few minutes, his mother came running after hearing the news. Kang acted as if he was fine in front of her. She was planning to take him to an even better hospital. If that happened, his secret would be out, but the doctor saved him this time, reassuring his mother that he was already healed. After her mother was gone, the doctor changed his stitches, but he was surprised to see his wounds already healing. Normally, it would take at least 1 week. The doctor told him his side of the story and why he worked as a doctor. He told him that he was free to come and go whenever he wanted as long as he didn't die or kill someone. He also informed him that he was going to sell his organs if he were to die someday. 1 week later, after he was discharged, he was ready to go to school the next day. His mother showed him the medical treatment bills, which were about $45,000. It was Boss Kwong who sent the bills to his home. He assured her that it was just a mistake. His father offered him a ride to school. Kang knew he wanted to talk to him about the accident. On the way to the school, he asked Kang if he was hiding something from him. Kang told him that he got into a fight and the students had some gangster backing them, but he took care of them. His father was upset, but he didn't scold him. Instead, he told him how much his mother sacrificed for them, so whatever happens, he shouldn't make her worry. Kang understood what he was saying as he got a flashback from the past. When he arrived at the school, the teacher scolded him for coming to school instead of resting. Kang asked him if anything had happened while he was gone. The teacher told him about the rumors about him. Some say he was stabbed to death, some say he was in a coma, and stuff like that. Kang asked for the names of the students which he wanted him to help last time. The kids who were being bullied. We see the first of the victims. He was being bullied while he was eating his lunch. The bully took his food and then shoved the fook in his mouth while the whole class was laughing. Just then, Kang entered the class and asked for the student named Moon Kijin. The bully bowed before him after seeing him and pointed him toward the kid. The kid was trembling after seeing him because he had heard how scary he was. Kang asked him to follow him. Kijin asked him why in a flustering voice. The whole class was shocked that he was talking back to someone like Kang. The bully yelled at him for raising his voice before him, but Kang stopped him and took Keijin with him. While the whole class was thinking that it was the end for Keijin, Kang tries to put a friendly face to assure them that he isn't going to hurt anyone, but they are still scared of him. He goes to the next person who was another victim of school bullying, Soyeon. He introduces himself to her. After hearing he was the infamous Kang, she was terrified. He asked her to come with him for a minute and she followed him without questioning him. In the hallway, they encounter some big dude. Soyeon started getting nervous seeing them and hid behind Kang. Those guys bow before Kang as well, but he just told them to move out of the way as they were just blocking his way. He invited a few more students to the sports room. He told them that he wanted to start a sports club with them. One of them asked him why he chose them for something like sport. "Because I want to be friends with all of you," says Kang. They were fazed to hear that and didn't know how to react to that. The teacher assured him that he would supervise them and they were not being forced to join as well. They didn't have to join if they didn't want to. Kang tries to persuade them to join the club, but that only scared them. The teacher asked him not to glare at them too much, and he also asked him what Mi-young was doing there. Mi-young introduced herself as the club manager even though no one assigned that role to her. The teacher asked Kang why he brought her there. "She met me in the hallway and started crying and wouldn't leave me alone," says Kang. But when she asked them to join the club, they agreed, because she was like an angel among those scary individuals. Kang ordered some pork cutlets to ease their worries. He sees the girl from earlier who got him involved with those gangsters, sneaking on them. She tries to run away, but Kang confronts her about this. When she denies sneaking on them, Kang doesn't push her. She asks him if he is not worried that she might be plotting something, but Kang doesn't care and tells her to just go away. She was frustrated with herself. She watched them from a distance while the others trained their asses off with Kang. After they were done with round 1, and thinking that it was done, Kang dropped a bomb on them by saying they were only warming up. Hearing this, their soul left their body. While playing dodgeball, Kang hits one of them in the face. The teacher asked him to go easy on them because they were in school, and he was intentionally aiming at kids. They started going back and forth against each other while laughing like maniacs. The kids wondered what kind of hell they had signed up for. After they were done with the training and cleaning up, the girl, Yoonsul, came again. She asked him to let her join the club as well, which startled the other club members. But Kang denies her, saying she was in her senior year. Yoonsul lashes out at him, saying she was not planning to go to college anyway, so that shouldn't matter. And also, Mi-young was also in senior year, Yoonsul pointed out. Kang told her that she had good grades so she didn't have to worry about her study. Yoonsul glares at her in anger and leaves after that. While coming back from school, Min-young asked him to let Yoonsul join the club, but Kang denies it, saying others are scared of her. He leaves after saying that. When he got back home, he found his father was talking to someone and was in stress, but he pretends as if everything is fine. But Kang noticed it. After a few minutes, Kang comes out of his room and asks his father if he would like to go on a work with him. He agrees to go with him. Kang asked him what was going on. At first, the father was hesitant as he didn't want to burden him with his problems. But after Kang insisted, he told him that it was about his business in France. The company from which he was buying his cars rejected his deal because there was a new company, Seojong Group, that was monopolizing all the smaller businesses. He told him everything in detail on what was going on. After thinking about it long and hard, Kang asked him whether it would be okay if he also came along to their next meeting. His dad obviously didn't understand what he was going to do in the meeting, but after explaining to him for a few minutes, Kang finally pursued his father. They kept all this from the mother as they didn't want her to worry. When he got inside his room, he got a call from a girl. She was a foreigner from France who met Kang at a restaurant. Kang had asked her favor, and in exchange, he had to go on a date with her. But due to his family matters, he postponed their date. He explained to her that he had a family matter to take care of. It was finally the day of the meeting. Kang and his dad were at the hotel where the meeting was being held. Kang's father thanks him for trying to help him and coming here with him. As they were talking, the guy they were supposed to meet came there. Kang was beyond shock seeing the guy. He was none other than their major, who had assigned them the mission which got him killed. His past memories of him flooded his mind while he wondered and thought of all the reasons why would he be in this position. Saffron greeted them in French. Not just Saffron, Smithen was he too, and he was flirting here as well. Seeing both of them, Kang was worried. His father asked him if he is okay. Kang introduces himself to them in French. Your way of speaking is similar to someone I knew, says Saffron. Smithen was still not behaving and was looking for ways to flirt with the waitress, but Saffron stopped him again. He asked Kang if his name was common in Korea, because it sounded familiar to him, to which Kang replied that their names sounded familiar as well. They start to talk about the business. Saffron still hasn't lost his silver tune. He was not agreeing with their deal. He was forcing them to agree to unreasonable demands. One of the guys from Korea got angry at him and threatened to take him to court. Kang knew this was not the way to handle Saffron. Saffron got angry at them and accepted their threat. As he was leaving, Kang stopped them and asked them for some more time. He asked his father to let him handle the situation. After thinking about it long and hard, his father realized that he had nothing to lose at this point. Kang asked them for 1 week's time and assured them that they wouldn't be disappointed by the offer. Saffron agreed to the agreement because he reminded him of the Kang he knew. Kang says to himself that if these guys were really Saffron and Smithun he knew, then he could take them on. While coming back to their home, his father asked him if he really was his son Kang. He was not stupid to believe that he learned French from the internet. Kang told him that he wouldn't believe him even if he told him. His father didn't question him after that, but he warned him not to bring any gangsters in this matter, ever. We see a flashback from the past. They were surrounded by enemy soldiers and were being pushed back, but Kang took it upon himself to get rid of them. He sprinted to the enemy front line alone, while not letting himself be spotted by the enemies. As they were about to shoot an RPG at them, Kang came from behind. Before they could react to him, he started shooting at them. One of the bullets hit the RPG, making it blast to their face, and the rest of the soldiers took care of the rest of the soldiers. He reported that he had secured Area K. There were no casualties in their team as well, but someone was missing. It was Smithun. He was somewhere forcing a survivor to play with him. As he was about to do something inappropriate to the girl, Kang found him. Smithun acts as if he is trying to help a civilian, but Kang was aware of his sick habits and beat the crap out of him that day, and he had the same look on his face in the present day as well. The teacher picks up Kang. Kang told him the truth about Smithun and Saffron being alive. They were staying in the Namsan Hotel right now. The teacher was furious and was planning on confronting them, but Kang stopped him. He further told him that they were now owners of a big company. Hearing this, the teacher started laughing menacingly. He pointed out how obvious it was that it was those guys who sold their own comrades for money. He died after Kang died in the battle, and even if those guys managed to survive somehow, what would explain their sudden wealth growth? When the teacher was not listening to his orders to stay down, Kang called him by his name, Daeru, and ordered him as his captain to stay put. Daeru suggested he ask Boss Kwong for help. That was a good point, but he couldn't involve them as he had made a promise to his father. The best way to deal with them was to separate them for some time. As he was thinking about it, Michelle called him again, which gave him an idea. He informed her that they would meet at the Namsan Hotel, which caught her off guard because she didn't expect him to be this straightforward. He was using her as bait to separate Smithun from Saffron. Kang knew if he saw Michelle and her friends, he wouldn't be able to control himself, and that's when they would take care of him. Daeru asked Kang to let him handle Smithun. Kang pointed out that he was not in his old body while Smithun was still as strong as before, so it might be a bad idea to let him handle Smithun. But Daeru kept insisting, so Kang agreed to let him take care of Smithun. Even though the situation was complicated, they couldn't help but feel excited doing something like this after a long time. But Kang thinks to himself that if Daeru was still as strong as before, it would be a fight incomparably harder than the last one with the parking lot group. The next day, during the class, Kang was zoning out because he was tired. After the school, Mi-young suggested they should head together, but Kang told her that he had plans. She asked him if he was going out with a girl. He told her that he had something to do with the gym teacher. When she asked to tag along, he coldly denies her. On the way, Yoon-sul also stops him, asking him to let her join the club, but he cuts her off mid-sentence, saying he was busy. Yoon-sul calls him a jerk. The gym teacher was ready for the meeting. Kang made fun of him, asking him if he was scared, to which he replies that he was scared of the principal but not Smithun. They arrive at the Hotel Namsan. The whole time, Daeru kept reminding Kang how he wasn't afraid of Smithun. When Kang enters the hotel, Boss Kwong's right-hand man welcomes him, but he told him to just leave. Just then, Michelle also arrived there with her friends. While everyone was mesmerized by their beauty, Kang was waiting for Smithun to come out. They changed their location while Kang signals Daeru to stay there. The hotel was serving them free of charge on Kwong's orders, which impressed Michelle, seeing him being treated like a gentleman, while Kang found it unnecessary. He also got a call from Boss Kwong. Seeing him all over the place, Michelle questioned him if he was there to attend to another matter. Kang didn't lie to them and told them half-truths. Just then, Daewoo messaged him that Smithon was there, but he was not alone. There were also members of the Venomous Snake Gang, which was a very big gang in France. He verified them by the tattoos on their thumb, which were their gang symbol, and each member of the gang had it. In his past life, Daewoo fought against them, so there was no way he wouldn't recognize them. Daewoo suggests they should retreat for now because they didn't account for gang members in their plan. Kang agreed that it would be a sane thing to do, but never have they completed a mission without any setbacks in their past lives. There was always something that wasn't on the plan, but they still didn't run away, and he was not going to run away today either. Daewoo understood what he was saying, but they still didn't have any plans. Kang was kind of panicking because he didn't have time to think of a plan right away, while Smithon was already in the club and had met with his benefactor. The story continues with Kang pondering his head for a plan while Mitchell and others are looking worried. He called the left hand of Kwong and asked him to evacuate everyone from the club except the 4 foreigners. But it was not up to that guy to decide, so Kang called Boss Kwong. When he asked him to close the club for today, he freaked out because even Kwong wasn't in full control of the club. This could make the shareholders angry, but Kwong insisted he do it immediately as he didn't have much time. In return, he would do one job for him no matter what it was. After hearing that, Boss Kwong agreed to evacuate the club. Boss Kwong also offered his men the job, even though that would make his chance of success much higher. But after thinking about it, Kang denied him. Mitchell asked him what was going on. He couldn't keep it secret from them and told them that the Serpent Venomer was in the club. They knew about this gang as they were infamous in France. They were terrified but still offered to help, but they wouldn't be able to help anyone with that terrified look on their face, said Kang, and suggested they leave the hotel. He left them in the guy's care and reunited with Daewoo. While going inside, Kang suggested they took care of 2 of them each at once while they were unaware of their true intentions. Daewoo points out the possibility of them having a gun, to which Kang replies that this was Korea, and also they wouldn't have brought guns with them since they didn't know their true intentions. People were being evacuated from the club, which they didn't like, obviously. Smithon greets them. Kang acted as if he didn't know Smithon was there too. Smithon asked him where were the girls that he was talking about. Kang replies that they are on their way. Smithon offered to have a drink with them, but it was clear he was there just for the ladies. He asked about Daewoo. Kang introduced him as the man who introduced him to the ladies. Smithon started being friendly to him after hearing that and offered him a drink. Daewoo looked at him in anger, but Smithon didn't know what was going on with him. After having a couple of drinks, Smithon noticed that there were only a few people left. He remarked how disappointed he was in Koreans. Kang assured him, saying it was because it was still early and that he would be surprised in a few moments. Just then, the gates close, which alerts them. One of them informs Smithon that something is wrong. While they were distracted, Daewoo and Kang attacked them with beer bottles. Daewoo knocked one of them down in an instant, and they both attacked the rest of the 2 with bottles. But Smithon instinctively kicked the table in front of him and escaped for the moment. While they were busy dealing with the Serpent Venemuex, Smithon tried to run away. Kang saw the guy whom Daewoo had knocked out earlier. He was about to attack Daewoo, but Kang throws the bottle at him and takes him on, while Daewoo goes after Smithon. He tackled Smithon on the floor, got on top of him, and started punching him brutally. Meanwhile, Kang was fighting. The other guy was keeping his ground against Kang. When the guy couldn't win in a fist fight, he reached into his pocket for a weapon. Kang was worried that he was reaching for a gun, but luckily it was just a knife. Seeing his stiff and awkward position, Kang could tell that he was not an expert with knives. The guy attacked him with this knife, but Kang easily dodged his attack. He made him drop his knife and locked him in an arm hold. The guy asked him to stop, but Kang goes ahead and breaks his arm. Now that he had dealt with him, they had successfully neutralized all 3 of them. Now the only one remaining was Smithon. But when he turned around to look at what was going on with Daewoo's fight, he was baffled. Smithon was holding Daewoo by the neck, and Daewoo was knocked out. Smithon had a weird tick. He moves around his neck when he is confident in a fight, and he is doing that right now. Kang knew that he needed to break his mind first. Smithon asked him if he was doing this because of the contract. Kang asked him if he still hadn't realized who he was, even after knowing his name. Smithon didn't know what he was blabbering about. Obviously, he knew his name, but what did that have to do anything with right now? Kang asked him how he survived, and if he really betrayed his squad members. Smithen still didn't fully understand what he was talking about, so Ken gave him one more clue, saying that the guy he was holding was none other than Daeru. Smithen had started to hear what he had to say and asked him what was his real identity. Kang told him again that he was Kang, the one he held on to when he was about to die. The Kang who beat him half to death when he left halfway through the battle to mess around like a dog. The god of the battlefield, Kang. The images of war started to flood Smithen's mind. The times he spent with Kang on the battlefield. He didn't want to believe him. Kang has started to get to him. He goes on to torment him even more by calling him a traitor. Smithen had a gut feeling about coming to Korea. Now he understood why. But he was not the same Smithen Kang used to know. He calmed himself down and pointed out that even if he was the real Kang, he couldn't possibly defeat him with that twig body of his. Kang tried to gaslight him into fighting him one-on-one, but Smithen figured that if he was the real Kang, and the one he was holding was the real Daeru, then he had the upper hand. He knew Kang wouldn't attack him as long as he had Daeru in his hand. Kang also realized that this guy wasn't stupid like before. He had started to use his brain after going corporate. Just then, Daeru came to his senses. Kang calls him stupid for not signaling him if he was awake. Smithen also found out that he was awake, and before Kang could reach him, he broke Daeru's neck. But while he was distracted with Daeru, Kang targeted his eyes and was successful. Smithen pointed out how before, it felt like he was getting hit by a firestorm. But now, this only stings a bit. His strength had decreased considerably. Kang was surprised that he didn't drop after that hit. Smithen compliments him for doing at least that much with his puny body. Smithen attacked him with his full force. He was like a monster. Compared to him, Kang really looked like a twig. But even with his puny body, he managed to dodge his attack and landed a strong punch to his face. Smithen may have a monster's body, but when it comes to speed, he is nowhere near him. Kang kept throwing punches at him, which made Smithen to be in a defensive position, until he wasn't. Smithen found an opening and attacked him, and with just one attack, Kang was thrown away. He received much more damage than what Smithen received with all those punches. His hands started shaking with the impact. Kang was clearly at a disadvantage. He couldn't afford to get hit by him many times. The only option he had was to attack his vital parts. While he was thinking all this, Smithen attacked him again, mocking him for how weak he was compared to the god of Blackfield he knew. Kang dodges the attack once again and targets his other eye. While he was thinking he managed to land the hit, the reality hits him and so does Smithen. The punch this time was even stronger than before, to the point if Kang got pushed back any further, he might die. So instead of getting pushed back, he embraced his critical attack and launched his own attack on him. Kang was receiving one hit after every 2 attacks, but Smithen's punches were giving him more damage than both of his punches combined. But Kang just goes through the hellish pain and kept attacking him with his all might, and eventually, Smithen was on the defensive again. Kang didn't waste even 1 second and took the chance to land as many critical hits as possible, and with a finishing kick, he knocked him down on the ground. Smithen was frustrated with himself for getting beaten up by him once again. But Kang was not done yet. He started punching him while he was down. He further goes on to attack his other eye as well. Kang beat the crap out of him, but he himself wasn't unscathed. His whole body was falling apart from the inside. He ordered Boss Kwang's minions to take Daeru to the hospital first. He was still not done with them. He takes the bat from one of them and starts beating up the serpent venomer dudes brutally, getting them to realize that they are in Korea. After he crippled them, he picks up a broken bottle to use it on Smithen, but he assured him that he was not going to kill him. In fact, he would even send him to a hospital, but after he was done with him, Smithen blamed Saffron and told him that he was the one who sold them out. But it was too late. Kang had made up his mind, but he stopped when Smithen told him that they were using his dad's company to export drugs and diamonds. Kang got even more bloodthirsty and asked him what he was talking about. Smithen told him what their original plan was. Kang didn't fully understand what was he talking about, but one thing was clear: if things didn't change, his father would be in danger. He stabbed him with the broken glass anyway, but it broke in just one hit due to his monster of a body. So he asked for the knife that one of their own guys had brought with them. He started attacking him with the knife without mercy, but he didn't kill him. After Smithen got knocked out from the excruciating pain, Kang ordered the others to take him to a hospital. The guy told him that it was Kang himself who needed to get hospitalized the most. Even after all that, he walked to the hospital and asked for Dr. Yu Hyun-woo. Kang got the news that Daeru was still alive, but he wasn't out of danger just yet. After the scan results came out, The doctor informed him that his inside was in chaos. 3 of his ribs were about to be shattered. It is a miracle that he could even walk. All the things considered, he needed to get hospitalized immediately. If he doesn't, his bones will break and pierce through his organ. But Kang said he couldn't afford to get hospitalized. The doctor puts it in even simpler words. If he didn't get hospitalized now, he would die. But even then, Kang asked him to just wrap him up in some bandages and give him some strong painkillers. Because if he were to get hospitalized right now, his family, his companions, and everyone would be in danger. The doctor understood and assured him to do whatever he could. He prescribed him some strong painkillers and wrapped him up with the strongest rib belt. But he warned him not to ever remove it no matter what. He wore the rib belt and was walking as if nothing happened. He went to see Daeru, who still hadn't woken up. He scolds him for not escaping when he finds out that he is in danger. Kang thanked him and assured him to just take a long nap and leave everything to him. He left the room with bloodthirsty eyes. Boss Kwang's men bowed before him and let him pass. Inside this room were the French gangsters and Smithen. Just as he entered the room, they started laughing at him except Smithen. They threatened to harm his family and everyone he knows just after they got out of the hospital. They had just fought with him. That's why they were defiant. He decided to break their spirit first. He asked one of his men to bring the thing. The guy was mocking him by acting scared until their fear became real. The guy came back with the knife he used in the last fight. The man tried to threaten him again, saying if he, a foreigner, got hurt in another country, Kang wouldn't be able to get away with that. But Kang didn't care and started attacking him with things while saying that he should say that in the embassy. The guy begged him to stop while screaming in pain. But Kang didn't listen to anything he had to say. After he broke the first guy, he moved forward to the second guy. The second thug was already severing and crying, but Kang was not that merciful. He felt bad for the doctor, but he needed to break their spirit or they would come after him and his family again. Even the gangsters outside thought he was going overboard. Even they'd never done something like that. Suddenly, the voices stopped. When they tried to look, Kang opened the door to their face and told them to get the injured in another room. After they sifted them to another room, Smithen could feel that he was coming towards him. He says to him that he has already learned his lessons and that he won't come after him ever again. Kang knew this, but he couldn't accept the thought that he'd get to work again after betraying him and his team. Smithen explained to him that it was all Saffron's plan. He was the one who sold them. After the massacre, when Saffron thought no one was alive, he brought a rescue team, but he happened to be clinging to his last breath. Kang pointed out why he was following him like a dog then, and why he didn't tell anyone about his betrayal. To which Smithen replied that he had sold them for a diamond. There were gangs all over the place. He couldn't have done anything with a bullet in his stomach, even if he wanted to. He explained how he just wanted to live a little longer. Kang says to him that he should have told them secretly while he was in hospital. Kang was furious that he was only thinking about himself and stabbed his thighs. He asked for the other guys who were with Saffron while torturing him. Smithen told him that there were 2 of them and they were armed with guns. Even after Smithen told him what he wanted to know, he still attacked his other leg. He was leaving after that, while thinking that he had to take care of this before Saffron got the news about them. Just then, the doctor came storming and yelled at him for his actions, and threatened to stop taking him in if he kept doing that. Kang informed him that they were from the worst gang in France. If he had just let them be, they'd have killed all the patients, nurses, and him as well, and would have escaped after that. Also, he didn't die or kill someone, so he didn't break the promise. The doctor asked him if there were still more. Kang told him there were 3 more. The doctor understood and said that he couldn't let go of a cash cow like him. Kang was planning to get straight to Saffron, but he didn't know how he was going to take him down. He was not as straight as Smithen. He must already have suspicions about the situation, and even if he somehow managed to get to him, he wouldn't be able to fight Saffron in his state. On top of that, there were 2 more guys with guns. On the other hand, if someone were to lift even a finger at him, his body probably crumble into pieces. He had no advantage over him. Just then, a thought crossed his mind. Why would Saffron send bodyguards with someone as strong as Smithen in a safe country like Korea? He realized that the men weren't for his safety. They were there as surveillance, meaning Smithen knew about his weaknesses, and Saffron didn't want him to spill the beans. The one in the hurry wasn't him. It was Saffron. Kang came back to Smithen, which made him freak out. Smithen asked him if he was going to kill him for good. Kang asked him what he did with the money that he got after selling the diamond. Smithen was hesitant to answer the question and was looking for ways to dodge it. Kang dared him to lie to him, but if he failed to trick him, he would kill him. Smithen asked him if it was okay to talk in front of the doctor. The doctor didn't know French, so it was all right. Smithen told him that the money was in the Swiss bank. Then King asked him why Saffron left him alive. Knowing him, he wouldn't take this big of risk. It was because Smithen and Saffron shared the password to the account, which had more than 10 billion won. If he killed him, he wouldn't get the money. This wasn't something Smithen could have come up with. It was Smithen's idea to keep his mouth shut. Kang wondered what kind of diamond would be that expensive. He asked Smithen if it was the blackhead diamond. This was the type of diamond that only appeared once every few dozen years, even in African mines. The Devil's Gemstone. Now Kang understood why Saffron lost his mind over it. Kang asked him about the password, but Smithen wasn't sure if he should tell him. So, Kang asked the doctor to scream in anger on any topic. They started yelling about what they should have for dinner this evening. Smithen didn't understand what they were talking about and thought the doctor going to hurt him. Smithen didn't want to get hit anymore and told him the password, which was Smithen 93C7 odd Africa. Kang knew he wasn't lying because only he would come up with a password like that. Smithen told him about the drugs as well, but he didn't about the buyer. Kang was about to call Boss Kwong, but he realized that he had lost his phone. He got one of his men to contact him. When he told him about the drugs, Boss Kwong got furious because they were smuggling drugs into his territory without him knowing. Kang was worried he might be a part of it, but seeing his reaction, he was relieved. After letting him in on his plan, Kang advised him that he mustn't provoke those French goons because they were not ordinary people. But Boss Kwong wasn't going to lay low in his own territory. After that, Kang contacted the Namsen Hotel and left a message for Saffron. While Saffron was in a meeting, one of his men delivered the message to him. The message was, and I quote, "Swiss bank, drugs, and the God of the Blackfield is waiting." Kang also contacted the right-hand man of Boss Kwong for any updates on Saffron. After hearing the message, Saffron immediately goes to take the call. Saffron asked him if Smithen told him something, and that if he gave him Smithen, he would give the monopoly of the cars to him. Kang realized that Saffron was thinking that Smithen had betrayed him. He played along with it and asked him for an unreasonable deal. Saffron told him that he didn't know what he was getting himself into. There were organizations far beyond what he could ever imagine. Saffron tried to use his silver tongue to get out of the situation, but Kang was not agreeing with him. Saffron was fuming with anger, and it didn't help that his way of speaking reminded him of the other Kang that he knew. Saffron agreed to have an agreement with him and asked him to come to the hotel the next day. Saffron was furious, but he couldn't do anything. Kang was aware that Saffron was different from Smithen. No matter how much hurry he was in, he always did what needed to be done without making a mistake. The situation was dire, and his body was a total wreck. Kang called his parents, who were worried about him. He said that he would be home soon. He remembers the times he has spent with his new parents. At home, his mom was sick again because she was worried about him. But now that he was coming home, she was feeling better. Just then, his father gets a call from his manager, and what he heard shocked him. The manager told him that they got the deal and that it was because of Kang. Just then, Kang came home. His mom hugs him, which makes him go through excruciating pain from his injuries. His father asked him how he got the deal, to which he replied that he just got help from someone on the internet. His father doesn't question him further. Kang asked them permission to let him go see his pay teacher, who recently got into an accident. The father agreed and worked him down. He asked him if those gangsters helped him, but he didn't get help from them. He told him that it was something Saffron offered him. He couldn't tell him the details for now. His father understands and shows his gratitude towards him. When he came back to the hospital, one of the gangsters gave him the good news that the teacher had woken up.
Chan quickly goes to Dairu's room. When he enters, he jokingly asks Dairu if he's still alive. Dairu laughs and wonders if Chan really believes he could be defeated by someone like Smithen. Curious about what happened after he was knocked out, Dairu listens as Chan recounts everything. Turning serious, Dairu makes two requests. Firstly, Dairu suggests letting Charlon go tomorrow, and letting Charlon go is a better outcome than risking Chan's life or his father's contract. Dairu then makes a second request asking Chan to take him to Smithen. Chan agrees and tells the gang members outside to bring a wheelchair. Later in Smithen's room, he is shocked and asks who's there, while Dairu praises Chan, acknowledging his good work in completely destroying Smithen's face. Chan informs Smithen that Dairu is present, and since Smithen doesn't understand Korean and Dairu doesn't know French, Chan assures Dairu that he can speak freely and that he will translate for him. Looking at Smithen with disgust, Chan speaks to him in French, conveying that once he leaves tomorrow, he should spend the rest of his life filled with remorse as an apology to the squad members who died unjustly. Smithen, shocked by this, asks Chan if he truly is the god of Blackfield. Smithen explains that he thought it was a trick by Charlon to make him reveal the password. Smithen suggests that Chan should ask Dara how much money he borrowed to confirm the truth. Smithen is left speechless after realizing that Chan is truly the god of Blackfield, and Chan declares that he will hand him over to Charlon tomorrow. Since they didn't share the password with him, Smithen should just go back to France and never let Chan see his face again. Smithen reveals that he knows Charlon's password. He explains that he has some shares of Gonged in his name, half of which he obtained from selling the diamond and the other half from the gang. Smithen tells Chan that returning to France would mean certain death for him. He asks Chan for protection and promises to share the account password in exchange. However, Chan refuses, expressing his anger at Smithen for earning the money by betraying his team. Chan suggests that Smithen should negotiate with Charlon instead. Smithen then reveals information about the Chinese and Japanese mafia, specifically mentioning the 10 members located in the hotel across from the City Hall and in the Bampo Hotel. Chan inquires Dara once more about the possibility of appointing Smithen as the Korean branch manager. Dara questions if he has the authority to make such a decision. Chan clarifies that it's not a direct appointment, but there might be a way to utilize the funds. Chan then probes Smithen on how he obtained Charlon's password, to which Smithen reveals it to be God of Blackfield. This revelation leaves Chan both confused and infuriated. Smithen explained to Chan that he accidentally revealed Charlon's password God of Blackfield to the bank when he got confused while making a withdrawal. It was only after the transaction was completed that he realized his mistake, leaving him completely surprised. Chan is confident in his words because he didn't ask for confirmation and he already disclosed the password. Smithen then mentions that Charlon is always cautious and probably trusts the Chinese and Japanese men to watch his back, which is why they need to eliminate him. Smithen panics, shouting that if he goes back to France after finalizing the contract, the French Serpent Gang will surely murder him. Smithen elaborates that they have never encountered the gang before, but Charlon became greedy and used the gang's money to buy shares of Gonged in his name. Charlon plans to take Smithen to France, use the money in their account to settle things with the gang, and once the money is gone, Charlon will dispose of Smithen and move on to his next scheme. Smithen mentions that he's already lost one eye and a leg, pleading with Chan to rescue him. Chan proceeds to inform Dara about Smithen's plea. Dara inquires about their next course of action, and Chan leaves the decision up to Dara, considering he nearly lost his life at Smithen's hands. Dara assures that they will assist him. Once he exits the room, he wastes no time in requesting the guys to dial Gwangtek's number. As soon as Gwangtek picks up, Chan quickly fills him in on the details. Additionally, Chan makes a request for a room reservation at Nam's An Hotel for tomorrow. Later on, Gwangtek himself shows up at the hospital to meet with Chan and Dara. Gwangtek informs Chan that the attack is about to commence, and in response, Chan probes Gwangtek, asking if he's having doubts or lacks confidence. Chan further questions Gwangtek's assumption that he will blindly follow orders just because Gwangtek helped out with some minor tasks and cleared the club. Gwangtek becomes visibly upset and asks if Chan believes he came here to request his assistance in the fight. Gwangtek questions Chan if he truly believes that he, the mighty Gwangtek, would stoop so low as to ask for help from a pathetic student who has barely escaped death's clutches. Chan rudely retorts that he couldn't care less, but since he made a promise, he reluctantly agrees to hear the request. Chan also demands that Gwangtek withdraw his men from the hospital, but Gwangtek refuses, asserting that the hospital belongs to them. Angrily, Gwangtek tells Chan to stop bossing him around and reminds him that they are dealing with foreign gangs not because of him, but because those gangs are trespassing. Chan brushes off all of that, claiming that he doesn't care. Shortly after, Gwangtek walks away, advising Chan to study hard or else he'll end up becoming a gangster. The next day, when Dara wakes up, he finds Chan already awake. Chan mentions that something feels off. Worried, Dara asks if Chan's injuries got worse, but Chan laughs and reassures him that he's actually feeling a lot better than expected. Dara is confused, and Chan explains that although it still hurts a little, his condition has improved significantly compared to yesterday. Chan is amazed at how quickly things are improving in just one day. Dara reassures him that it's more likely than being reincarnated into another body, so he should just be grateful and not question it. Chan grins and calls the reception to request an ambulance. Diaru expresses concern for Chan's well-being, but Chan jokes that it's still better than having a man with a twisted neck as a companion. With a smirk, Chan leaves the room as Diaru lights up another cigarette. While Chan escorts Smithen in the ambulance, Smithen is visibly shaken and wonders if it will just be the two of them. Smithen explains that he has never been in a situation like this with his body in such a condition. Chan reassures him, urging him to relax and assuring him that everything will go according to plan. Upon reaching the hotel, Chan helps Smithen out of the ambulance and onto a wheelchair. Suddenly, a man rushes in and informs them that they were expecting Chan's arrival and will guide him to the guest room. After waiting for some time in the room, he decides to dial Charlone's number. Charlone expresses his concern about the possibility of an ambush, prompting Chan to reassure him that there is no reason for them to do such a thing since the contract is really important to both of them. Once the lawyer confirms that everything is in order, Chan will hand over Smithen. In order to ensure Smithen's safety and prevent any unexpected disappearances, Charlone suggests bringing along another person who will stand guard in the room while they go over the contract. Chan agrees to this condition and Charlone promises to arrive within 10 minutes. A few moments later, Charlone walks into the room accompanied by his bodyguard. Seeing Smithen in his current state, Charlone immediately questions Chan about what he did to him. Chan responds, explaining that there were certain circumstances involved. He adds that the punishment he gave Smithen was relatively mild considering his betrayal of their comrades. This infuriates Charlone, who believes Chan's actions have gone too far. He threatens to take Smithen away right then and there. In response, Chan stands up and confronts Charlone, questioning whether he thinks he's stupid. He warns Charlone that if he tries anything foolish, his men will arrive within minutes to stop him. Charlone orders his guard to stay alert and the guard proceeds to take out a gun, attaching a silencer to it. He instructs Chan to behave until he returns after signing the contract. With that, Charlone exits the room, leaving his guard behind. Chan sits back down, contemplating how he should handle the guard and his weapon if things take a turn for the worse. Chan got a call from Doziak, who confirmed that the contract was signed smoothly and Charlone was on his way up. He informed Charlone's guard about the signed contract, but the guard remained silent. Smithen then requested Chan to remove the bandages from his remaining eye so he could watch. As Chan started to remove the bandages, Charlone entered the room with another man. Charlone mentioned that the contract was signed and now it was Chan's turn to fulfill his part. He commented on how Chan always repeated this phrase, comparing him to the Kang Chan he once knew. Chan smiled, irritating Charlone, who claimed that the smile always hurt his pride. Confused, Chan asked Charlone what the previous Kang Chan did to hurt his pride, but Charlone remained silent. Chan then questioned Charlone about the importance of Blackhead compared to the lives of his soldiers. Charlone laughed, hinting that Smithen might have said something to him. Chan demanded an answer, but Charlone warned him about his plans and threatened to go after his mother if he continued down this path. Chan mentions that Charlone failed to notice a couple of additional details during their conversation yesterday. Charlone is feeling perplexed, so Chan calls for someone to enter the room. The French gang's remaining members walk into the room, leaving Charlone utterly confused. Right then, Smithen grins and questions Charlone if he still hasn't grasped that he's fallen into the God of Blackfield's trap. Charlone is completely bewildered and shocked. Charlone then inquires about the money sent to France, and Chan explains that it was the payment for Smithen's shares with some extra cash added as a reward for Charlone's capture. Charlone quickly asks when they switched allegiances, and Chan reveals that they brought them over just last night. Despite the limited time, they received a request from France and asked to continue their operations without attracting attention in Korea. Chan emphasizes that there is no one on Charlone's side in this situation. Charlone threatens and points out the abundance of security cameras in this country, which could pose a problem once they realize a foreign guest has vanished from the hotel. Chan then offers his assistance and presents two options for Charlone to choose from. The first option is for Charlone to surrender right away and request a quick and painless death. The second option is for Charlone to engage in a one-on-one fight with Chan. Seeing Charlone's confusion, Chan suggests that they handle things in their own unique way, the way of mercenaries. Charlone then questions Chan about whether he truly is the god of Blackfield, to which Chan replies that it's Charlone's decision to believe it or not. Charlone then questions whether the men present will acknowledge his victory if he wins the one-on-one. Chan confidently responds, emphasizing that it is indeed a genuine one-on-one and the men are merely spectators. As they both prepare for the fight, Charlone removes his coat with a confident smile and Chan follows suit. The men proceed to bind one hand of each fighter with wraps while holding knives in their free hands. Sharlan challenges Chan, reminding him that if he truly is the Kang Chan he knows, he will remember this moment. However, Chan remains silent. Sharlan displays his skillful footwork, pushing Chan forward and causing him to lose his balance. In that moment, Chan realizes the seriousness of the situation. Sharlan is not playing around, and he could have been killed in an instant. Sharlan thrusts the knife towards Chan once again, but this time, Chan manages to dodge the attack and counterattacks. They continue their intense battle, attempting to strike each other with the knives while their hands remain tied together. Despite their efforts, neither of them is able to land a hit. Sharlan confronts Chan, challenging his claim as the god of Blackfield. He taunts Chan, reminding him of the day when he couldn't escape Sharlan's bullet. However, to his surprise, Chan had turned around and evaded the attack. The tension escalates as both engage in a fierce exchange of stabs from all directions. In the midst of their confrontation, Chan boldly questions Sharlan about his involvement in shooting Dairu. With a smirk, Sharlan dismisses the question, implying that it's irrelevant. He proudly admits that, apart from the already injured Smithin, he is likely responsible for killing all of their comrades. Sharlan further adds that if he had aimed at Smithin, he probably wouldn't have survived either. This revelation infuriates Chan, leading him to unleash a barrage of insults and launch another attack. Sharlan tries to defend himself with his knife, but Chan skillfully deflects it. Anticipating this move, Sharlan swiftly maneuvers his footwork and thrusts his knife into Chan's shoulder, successfully inflicting a wound. Sharlan keeps on taunting, mentioning how much fun he had taking down Chan's incompetent squad members and aiming for Chan's head. He confidently declares that today will be even more enjoyable. As Chan gets more agitated, their heated confrontation escalates. Despite Chan's attempts to retaliate, he ends up getting stabbed in the shoulder once again. Sharlan grins and relentlessly presses on, while Chan struggles to defend himself. Smithin couldn't help but notice that Sharlan seemed to be operating at full capacity, while Chan was still recovering from their previous encounter. Despite Chan's reputation as the god of Blackfield in the past, his short and weak arms made victory seem like a distant dream. Smithin wondered why Chan would engage in a one-on-one battle when the odds were stacked against him. On the other hand, Chan remained determined, believing that one opportunity was all he needed to turn the tables. With that chance in mind, he aimed to bring the fight to a decisive end. As Sharlan landed a blow on Chan's face, the intense exchange continued, with the French gang and Smithin looking on in anticipation. Chan suddenly displayed a moment of vulnerability, catching Sharlan's attention. With a grin, Sharlan proposes putting an end to the fight. In that instant, he pulls Chan closer, and it becomes evident that Chan had anticipated this opportunity. Now that the distance between them has vanished, Chan aims to strike him while Sharlan rushes to do the same. They collide with each other, leaving the outcome of the fight uncertain. However, it appears that Sharlan nearly succeeded in stabbing Chan, but unfortunately, it was in the back of his neck, whereas Chan managed to stab Sharlan in the ribs. Chan twists the knife and forcefully pushes it down, causing Sharlan to let out a piercing scream of agony. The pain becomes so unbearable that he collapses onto Chan, dropping his knife. He then crumples to his knees lifelessly, and Smithin chuckles, clearly satisfied. The Frenchmen also don't appear to be saddened by the outcome. While lying on the ground, Chan remarks that regardless, they are all destined for hell, so they can have another round when they reunite there. The gang members begin to take care of the cleanup, with Chan approaching Sharlan's personal guard to inquire about his loyalty. The guard reassures Chan, stating that they have done this numerous times before and there's no need to worry. They proceed to wrap Sharlan's lifeless body in a bag and tidy up the room, while Chan casually sits on the sofa contemplating the recent events. Suddenly, his phone rings and it's the French gang leader on the line. The leader expresses gratitude to Chan for eliminating the problem, and Chan takes the opportunity to remind him about avoiding any illegal activities in Korea. The French leader assures Chan that they will uphold their promise and then asks for Chan's name. Without hesitation, Chan says that it is God of Blackfield. The leader chuckles and says that it's a pretty cool name. He tells Chan that if he ever needs anything, he can give them a call and use that name for one specific request. After ending the call, the other guys inform Chan that they are leaving. Chan asks why they're taking Sharlan with them, and the guard replies that they need to protect the honor of their partners. After that, the gang decides to leave as they transfer Sharlan into a laundry basket and take him away. Chan also decides to leave with Smithin. When they reach the ground floor, Gwangtek's henchmen are already there, waiting with an ambulance. Doziak surprises Chan with a new phone gifted by the boss, complete with his old phone number. It's a gesture of gratitude for handling the Japanese and Chinese affairs smoothly. Apparently, Gwangtaek warned Chan that he'll confront him at school if he refuses the gift. Chan just smiles, accepts the phone, and reminds Doziak not to act like they know each other the next time they cross paths. While on their way back to the hospital in the ambulance, Smithan brought up the topic of how he should move forward with his life. Smithan then proposed that Chan should split that money with Dairu. On top of that, Smithan hinted at the possibility of having around 12 million euros in stocks coming his way, considering his new role as a branch manager with a high salary. Chan questioned whether Dairu would agree to the idea. Smithan responded by suggesting that they should accept it as a reward. Upon reaching the hospital, while the doctor attends to Chan, he refers to him as a VIP client due to his frequent visits. Chan jokingly asks for some VIP perks, including clothes similar to what he was wearing before, to which the doctor responds that this is a hospital, not a store. Chan grins and explains that's precisely why he's requesting VIP privileges. Annoyed, the doctor finishes bandaging him and promises to inform the administration about his request. After a while, Chan heads to Dairu's room. He tells Dairu everything that happened, and Dairu grins, mentioning that he should have been there to witness Charlin's state. Chan admits that he had expected to feel happy about Charlin's demise, but it didn't turn out as satisfying as he had thought. Seeing how serious Chan is, Dairu changes the subject to lighten the mood and asks how Chan managed to manipulate all the gangs. Chan explains that he anticipated Charlon would reach out to the gangs in the morning, and the Frenchman simply wanted to wrap up their business, so he took the necessary steps to give them what they desired. Dairu chuckles and remarks that Chan's mind has become even more evolved than before. Chan brings up the money, mentioning that Smithan wanted to split it with them. Dairu is taken aback when he hears that it amounts to 3 million euros, which converts to 4 billion won. Dairu suggests that they should prioritize paying the hospital bills regardless. He tells Chan to do whatever he wants with the remaining money, to which Chan responds that they will decide later. After their conversation, Dairu asks Chan what his next move will be. Now that he has avenged Charlin's death, will he continue his life as a mercenary or choose to live as a high school student? Chan realizes that he took matters into his own hands when dealing with Charlon, thus completing his revenge. He no longer has to worry about being targeted while sitting near a window at school or constantly evading enemy eyes in the jungle or desert. His life is now free from the fear of death, living comfortably with a wealthy and caring family. It's a simple life, and as long as he remains peaceful, his life will continue to be peaceful. However, he questions whether he truly deserves all this peace. If he could return the body to its rightful owner, he would do so without hesitation, as it would be foolish not to. But if he's unable to find a way to return it and is forced to live in this body for the rest of his days, Chan wonders what would be the right thing to do. Interrupting his train of thought, Dairu advises Chan not to overthink the future until they improve their situation. Chan agrees, suggesting that they should make a decision after carefully considering their options. Just then, the intercom buzzes, notifying Chan that his clothes are ready. He informs Dairu that he's leaving because he's exhausted. When Chan gets home, his mom is already waiting for him and she greets him warmly. She asks if he had a tough day, but Chan smiles and says it wasn't. He mentions that even his dad's meeting went well. Chan's mom credits him for it, but Chan insists it was all thanks to his dad. She holds his hands, hugs him, and tells him she loves him. Chan feels content for a moment, but suddenly feels strange and tells his mom he's tired and wants to go to his room. Shortly after, Chan sits in his room, still pondering what to do, but ultimately decides to just go to sleep. Chan wakes up in the evening and finds a flood of messages on his phone. Among them is a message from Dairu, prompting him to give him a call. Dairu shares the news that their school is shutting down the sports club due to the supervising teacher being hospitalized for a while. Dairu mentions that he will be discharged from the hospital in 2 weeks. Chan receives another message from Michelle. He quickly dials her number and assures her that he's all right now. After calming her down, he suggests having a dinner together next week. Suddenly, Chan notices multiple messages from Kim expressing her concern for him. She texts him that she's planning to visit him. Chan gets annoyed and immediately calls her back, trying to explain that he's perfectly fine. However, Kim insists that she's already on her way and asks him to meet her at the bench. Chan meets Kim, and as she approaches him for a hug, he gently holds her hand to prevent her from falling. Concerned about his injuries, Kim tries to check on him, but he assures her he's okay. She doesn't fully believe him and attempts to inspect for herself by trying to take off his shirt. After some playful back and forth, she eventually grabs Chan's hand and the atmosphere between them becomes tense. It seems like they are on the verge of kissing, causing Kim to blush intensely. Kim was almost at the finish line when Chan suddenly interrupts her and suggests taking a walk instead. Although Kim feels disappointed, she agrees to go along with it. He informs Kim that their teacher is going through a rough patch, but assures her that the club will resume its activities once he's back. The discussion then shifts to exams, and Kim confidently declares that she will undoubtedly secure the top spot in their entire school. She mentions how studying has become surprisingly enjoyable for her lately. Chan, puzzled by her excitement as if she's preparing for a battle, suddenly remembers the promise he made to her. He had jokingly mentioned that if she manages to rank first in their school, he would give her a kiss. Chan starts feeling tired, and Kim kindly suggests that he goes home to rest. They bid each other goodbye, with Kim assuring him that they'll see each other at school, and she leaves with a smile. The next day, as Chan's father drove him to school, he brought up the topic of Chan's plans for the upcoming year as he would be turning into an adult. Chan responded by saying that he should start preparing to get into college somehow. However, deep down, he didn't want to take the final exam and wasn't confident about passing it. So, he came up with an idea and shared with his father that he had been contemplating attending a sports university and possibly studying abroad in France. He found the idea of going abroad quite intriguing and enjoyable, and he had even made some connections with French people. Upon arriving at school, all eyes were on him, and Chan expected nothing less. Glancing to the side, he noticed Lee with a face full of bandages, and Chan couldn't help but think that Lee must have a knack for getting into fights. Regardless, he continued on his way, knowing it wasn't his concern. While the teacher droned on with the lecture, Chan found himself dozing off, unable to escape the boredom. He didn't even notice his phone buzzing, which ended up interrupting the teacher. Kim informed him about the vibrating phone, and after the teacher resumed teaching, Chan checked the message from Dairu. It turned out that Smithen was requesting his account number to transfer the shares. Dairu sends a follow-up message mentioning how foolish Smithen was for asking the nurse to translate, especially since his wife overheard and got upset about the shares. Chan notices the message but simply replies that he's in class. Shortly after, he gets a text from an unfamiliar number that reads, "Kong Chan, this is just the beginning." This leaves Chan feeling utterly confused. Chan smirks, curious about the identity of this joker, believing that one should not talk tough from behind if they can't back it up from the front. Chan then goes back to feeling utterly bored. At lunchtime, Chan informs the group that all club activities will be on hold until their teacher is released, but encourages them to keep building their endurance. He reassures them to come to him if they encounter any issues, to which they eagerly nod in agreement. Kim walked with Chan after school, following him persistently. Chan, feeling annoyed, wondered how long she would continue to follow him. He was confident that they would soon part ways, but to his surprise, she asked if he wanted to study together. Chan curtly declined, which left Kim feeling really down. Seeing her sadness, Chan quickly made up an excuse about visiting the professor. Kim offered to accompany him, but Chan insisted she should go home to study instead. Despite her persistence, Chan fabricated a story about the professor being injured in a sensitive area, making it awkward for her to visit. Kim, feeling embarrassed, let Chan go without further protest. Upon reaching the hospital, Chan inquires about Dairu's well-being. When Chan asks about his wife, Dairu explains that she went home to look after their daughter and will return the next day. Chan then brings up the messages concerning Smithen. Dairu admits he has been thinking about it all day and is convinced that Smithen is up to something unusual. Chan then asks how long they have been sharing a room. Smithen, who appears to have lost weight, smiles. Dairu tells Chan that Smithen keeps complaining about being bored and scared, yet he can't understand why Smithen wants to be around him when they struggle to communicate effectively. Chan then has a conversation with Smithen, expressing his confusion about Smithen's sudden change of plans. Previously, Smithen had mentioned giving 3 million euros, but now he wants to give his shares instead. Chan is puzzled and asks for an explanation. In response, Smithen reveals that he has a net worth of 15 million and wants to divide it equally among the three of them, with each receiving 5 million. However, Chan remains skeptical and questions Smithen's motives for giving away such a substantial amount. Smithen urges Chan to seize this opportunity and become comrades once again. He emphasizes that even if Chan refuses, he will find another way to deposit the money into his account. Chan tells Dairu about Smithen's suggestion to take the money and become partners again. But Dairu is suspicious, believing that Smithen has ulterior motives. Chan confronts him and asks if there's anything else he hasn't told them yet. In response, Smithen finally caves and admits that he believes there was someone lurking in the shadows behind Charlan. However, he has no clue who this person might be or how much power they hold. Since he can no longer protect himself, he feels compelled to join forces with them. Diaru, already labeling him a jerk, claims he already knew Smithen's true intentions. Smithen is frightened and insists that having more money is always a good thing and he truly isn't hiding anything else. However, to his surprise, Chan declares that he won't be the one making the decision this time. Instead, he instructs Diaru to make the call. When Chan announces that Diaru agreed, Smithen becomes overjoyed and expresses gratitude towards Chan and Diaru. At this moment, Smithen brings up another favor, which irritates Chan. He warns Smithen that if it's another absurd request, he will not hesitate to refuse. However, Smithen assures Chan that it's nothing major since he will be relocating to Korea. He simply desires a personal Korean tutor and a place to live once he is discharged. Chan calls him shameless and promises to look into it. Chan thinks he might find someone through Michelle and plans to ask Michelle's friend Cecile about shares. Diaru receives a message on his phone, wondering who it could be. Chan then reveals his phone with the same number mirroring Diaru's message. This leaves both of them utterly perplexed, unable to make sense of the situation. Chan took a moment to think and suggested that they should just forget about it. This confused Diaru, so Chan explained that it doesn't matter who sent the message until they actually take action. Chan reassured Diaru that if they encounter any trouble, they will face it together and overcome it. Chan mentioned that he had to leave now, which made Smithen feel sad. Smithen tried to convince Chan to stay, but Chan informed him that he had a dinner with his parents. Later, Chan gives Michelle a call and apologizes for waking her up. Michelle inquires about the reason for the call, and Chan reveals that he has a favor to ask. He explains that Smithen, who is currently in the hospital, is in need of a personal tutor to teach him Korean. Irritated, Michelle expresses her annoyance at Chan's constant inquiries about her friends instead of focusing on her. Trying to diffuse the tension, Chan explains their financial difficulties and the need for assistance. Michelle sympathizes and agrees to ask Cecile to directly contact him for further details. Michelle attempts to steer the conversation in a different direction, but Chan disregards her and abruptly ends the call. In the restaurant, Chan has dinner with his parents. He seems disappointed and asks if they only came to eat tonkatsu. His dad replies that it's nice to eat at a peaceful restaurant like this, and it brings back nostalgic memories. Chan wonders why he feels nostalgic, and his mom explains that they were very poor before their business became successful. She asks if he doesn't remember this and if his memories still haven't returned. Chan realizes and nervously admits that he does remember, he was just distracted. He then focuses on the food and notices his parents enjoying themselves. Chan's dad mentions that there will be a presentation for a new car and an inauguration ceremony for the new branch manager this weekend. He expresses his desire for Chan and his mom to attend, and Chan agrees. Chan spends an entire week feeling bored at school. Eventually, he meets up with Cecile to discuss some financial matters, but even then he finds himself overwhelmed and bored by the information overload. Chan asks Cecile if what they're doing is illegal, to which she reassures him that it's just a clever trick and completely legal. Grateful for her assistance, Chan thanks Cecile, who surprises him by saying that he should actually thank her for helping him improve his performance grade. With that, Chan entrusts Cecile with the distribution process, and after a few more meetings, he receives a staggering 1.5 billion won as his share of the money. Chan is amazed when he sees his bank balance, realizing that he now has a total of 1.7 billion won at his disposal, free to use as he pleases. Later at the hospital, Chan introduces Michelle's friend Alice to Smithen and mentions that she will be his Korean teacher. Smithen is left speechless and captivated by Alice's presence. Chan snaps him out of his daze, and Smithen expresses his desire for a private room starting the next day. Chan becomes irritated as Smithen explains that he doesn't want to disturb Diaru. Despite Smithen's attempts to lighten the mood with jokes, the tension remains unresolved, but they eventually settle on the tutor. Chan had been anxious for some time, fearing that the headquarters in France would cause problems regarding Charlene's disappearance. However, they surprisingly remained silent, possibly due to the Serpent Gang's power in France. A week later, Chan arrived at the inauguration ceremony with his parents, and as he walked in, a mysterious man noticed him and smiled. The mysterious man walks ahead, followed by his guards. Meanwhile, Smithen arrives in a wheelchair with Alice pushing him. He greets Chan excitedly, but Chan is annoyed and tells him to stop pretending to know him. Chan asks how Smithen and Alice became so close, and Smithen smiles and says it is what it is. Smithen greets Chan's dad in French, and Alice translates it for him. Chan's dad greets Smithen and wishes him a quick recovery, even though he doesn't know how he got injured. Alice translates it to Smithen, who starts laughing and talking about his injuries. This angers Chan, who asks him to stop. Smithen agrees and asks about Chan's mother, which further annoys Chan. He tells Smithen to show some respect. Smithin compliments Chan's mother, saying she is gorgeous and adds that he will invite everyone for a meal soon. Suddenly, the mysterious man and his guards appear, interrupting the group. He asks to join the conversation. Smithin is shocked and greets him as the ambassador. Chan notices this and the ambassador immediately inquires about Chan. Smithin tries to introduce Chan, but the ambassador beats him to it, introducing himself as the French ambassador, Ranork. Chan shakes his hand, curious as to why the ambassador is interested in him. Chan's mom asks who the man is, and Chan explains. She is surprised to learn that the French ambassador wanted to shake hands with him. Chan downplays it, saying it's nothing. Ranork asks Chan if they can talk more, and Chan agrees. Ranork suggests moving to a different location to talk, which confuses Chan, but he agrees. Later, they sit down in a cafe where Ranork compliments Chan's French accent, mentioning that he knows Chan never took French classes. Chan is irritated, but Ranork apologizes, explaining he is just curious. Ranork then brings up the topic of Charlon, emphasizing the importance of keeping the company's dealings with a criminal organization a secret. He expresses gratitude to Chan for intervening. Chan clarifies he acted independently, not on behalf of the French government. Ranork assures him that French intelligence has handled all information regarding Charlon. Chan understands that Ranork wants to prevent any leaks. He offers Chan a scholarship to study at a French university and the opportunity to obtain French nationality. Chan is intrigued and expresses gratitude, saying he will consider the offer. Ranork also mentions that they have taken care of the money transferred from the Swiss bank and there is no need to worry about the Korean tax office. He assures Chan that they will also donate some shares to him, ensuring he won't have to worry about money for the rest of his life. Chan is shocked to realize that they already know everything about him. He comments on the high compensation for the small incident he resolved. Ranork explains that they are trying to tie up loose ends before the upcoming election in their country. Ranork reveals that the compensation was prepared by the Republic of France and offers Chan a personal gift, giving him his contact information. Chan hesitates for a moment and asks if he can access the records of French mercenary dispatches. Ranork advises him to move on from that topic if it involves Charlon. Chan accepts and prepares to leave, mentioning that his parents are waiting for him. As Chan is about to leave, Ranork warns him that if he hears any strange rumors, their intelligence agencies will handle it. Chan returns to his parents, and his mom inquires about their conversation. Chan mentions the scholarship in France. His mom is surprised, but Chan thinks it was just a saying. He asks about Smithin's whereabouts, and his dad mentions he left to unveil the new car. Smithin appears on stage, and as he reveals the new car, Chan notices Michelle among the reporters. Chan is surprised to see Michelle, and he smiles. After the show ends, Chan thinks about greeting her, but Michelle notices him first. She screams with excitement, runs towards him, and embraces him tightly. She starts kissing him passionately. Chan's parents are shocked by this display of affection. Chan tells Michelle to speak in French. Michelle smiles and expresses her happiness to see him. However, Chan asks her to calm down and greet his parents first in French. Michelle awkwardly greets them, and Chan's mom asks who she is and what she is saying. Chan explains that she is just greeting them and reminds his mom that they met at the French restaurant. He clarifies that they became close after that. However, his mom insists that they seem much closer than he claims. Chan tries to ease the tension by saying that French people tend to overreact to everything. Chan inquires about Michelle's presence, and she clarifies that she is working for a magazine, specifically on the upcoming edition featuring the new car. Curious, Michelle asks Chan why he is here, to which he introduces his father as the president of Kangyu Motors. Michelle expresses her astonishment, commenting on his wealthy background. This makes Chan feel a bit embarrassed, but Michelle quickly changes the subject and invites him for drinks later. Chan ponders for a moment, realizing that Michelle has also helped him, and agrees to meet up. However, he mentions that he can't drink since his parents are present. Just then, Ranork passes by and greets Chan, leaving Michelle shocked. She questions their acquaintance, and Chan explains that they only met today for the first time. Michelle claims that he has gained notoriety for his arrogance in France, and there are rumors circulating that he has his sights set on the upcoming presidential elections. Chan wonders if it's time for them to leave, and he informs his parents that he will be going out with Michelle, advising them to head home first. Chan's mom appears visibly stressed and asks if it will only be the two of them going. Chan explains that he simply owes Michelle a favor, and his dad fully comprehends the situation, assuring them that everything will be fine and Chan can do as he pleases. Later, Chan and Michelle are sitting together. As Chan gazes at Michelle, he can't help but think about how stunning she looks. Suddenly, Michelle's expression turns serious and she confronts him about why he keeps pushing her away. She tells him that she's not naive and notices how he always retreats whenever she tries to bridge the gap between them. Chan avoids making eye contact and explains that they have different lifestyles and priorities. He insists that they are close friends, but can't take their relationship any further. Michelle wonders if it's because she's behaving too much like a French person. She suggests cutting off contact with other men and focusing solely on him, hoping that it will bring them closer. However, Chan clarifies that it's not the issue at hand. He admits that he is a completely different person than the one she thinks him to be. Chan mentions that he feels like being in a relationship would be too much of a burden. Michelle questions if he is truly a high school student, to which Chan responds by saying that whatever she believes about him is correct. Michelle, feeling confused, decides not to stick too closely to him moving forward, but she also asks him not to push her away. Chan ponders how to respond, but their conversation is interrupted by someone Michelle recognizes, prompting her to greet the woman. Michelle inquires why she is there, and Soyeon explains that she was sent by the chief. Michelle introduces Chan to Soyeon as Eun Soyeon. Chan recognizes her as one of the models from before and asks about it. Michelle mentions that Soyeon is also participating in some shows, but Chan admits that he doesn't really watch TV. Chan suggests that he should leave them to talk, but Soyeon feels embarrassed and insists that he shouldn't leave because of her, mentioning that she just dropped by to say hello. Chan reassures her that it's fine and he was planning to leave anyway. He offers to pay for the drinks, but the girls don't seem too pleased. Chan goes for a jog in the park and reflects on how Charlon used to be strong, but lost his edge after leaving the battlefield. Chan is determined to live a long life and not meet the same fate as Charlon. Chan recalls a man from his previous life, and as he walks to school in the present, Kim spots him and hurries over. She mentions that she just left home for school too, but Chan suspects she was actually waiting for him for ages. Suddenly, a car honks at them and Daira greets them, offering to drive them to school. While in the car, Kim asks Dairu if he's truly feeling better now. Dairu explains that it was almost broken, but they were able to fix it. Kim thought Dairu's injuries were in a private area and is surprised to learn they were able to repair it. Daira mentions that his is particularly thick and strong, so the mending process was quicker than expected. Kim feels embarrassed, realizing she didn't need to know those details. Chan is sweating buckets and changes the conversation and asks Dairu if they will continue the club activities, and Dairu agrees. Kim's phone suddenly rings, but she looks irritated when she sees it. Chan wonders if it's a stalker and urges her to show him the phone. An ominous text pops up saying that you will soon die. Chan is puzzled why Kim received the same strange message. He asks if she has gotten something like this before, and Kim reveals she received a similar message yesterday but deleted it. Chan suggests they talk after their club activities. In school, Daira gathers the club members and advises them to study hard for their exams. He also mentions that the second-year students will have a summer camp during the holidays, and he will be one of the teachers accompanying them. After the meeting, Chan approaches Dairu to have a conversation, but Kim interrupts and asks if she can join as well since she is the manager. Dairu explains that they need to discuss the accident, so Kim doesn't need to be a part of it. Kim feels disappointed but agrees, promising not to leave next time, and leaves Chan and Dairu alone. Chan points out that since Kim also received the text, it means that anyone in their vicinity, including their families and Dairu's, could be targeted. Chan asks Dairu to contact the phone service and inquire about the unknown number. They plan to meet up with Smithin. Dairu realizes that the situation is escalating. Chan then brings up the topic of the summer camp. Dairu explains that since they couldn't go on a field trip, they are settling for a camp instead. Chan expresses concern about Daira being away for too long, considering the circumstances. However, Daira points out that if he doesn't go, the chief teacher would have to attend, and they are already overwhelmed with work this year. It wouldn't be fair to burden them further. Back at home, Chan's mom reveals that she received a similar text but deleted it. Chan is confused and decides to get ready, mentioning that he'll be stepping out for a while. He realizes that everyone around him is being targeted and he can't protect everyone simultaneously. Chan arrives at a grand mansion in a taxi. Smithin warmly welcomes him and suggests that he should visit more often. However, Chan is serious and tells Smithin that he is not here for leisure, he wants to get straight to the point. Smithin asks Alice to give them privacy and they both sit on the couch. Smithin asks Chan what the matter is. Chan explains about the threats that everyone around them has been receiving. Smithin is shocked and asks who would dare to do such a thing, but Chan doesn't have an answer yet. Chan then asks if Smithan has also received any threats, but Smithan denies it. Chan finds it strange that Smithan isn't a target and wonders why. He asks Smithan about his suspicions regarding someone supporting Charlon from behind and why he had that suspicion. Smithan becomes anxious and claims that it's just a gut instinct. On the other hand, Chan becomes serious and assures Smithan that he always repays his debts completely. He warns Smithan that if he continues to hide and scheme, he will treat him in the same manner. Chan's anger intensifies as he firmly instructs Smithan not to even think about mentioning Africa or their mercenary work to anyone nearby. He emphasizes that a single word from Smithan could potentially harm or even kill numerous individuals, including Smithan himself. Filled with rage, Chan declares that if he hears even a hint of a rumor about those matters, he won't hold back like he did at the hotel that day. Smithan's face pales while Chan rises from his seat and declares that they're finished and he's leaving. He asserts that there's no reason for them to meet anymore. However, before Chan can walk away, Smithan interrupts him, revealing that he witnessed Charlon receiving orders from someone in the past. Intrigued, Chan turns towards Smithan, who suggests that Charlon might not have known he was there. Smithan explains that when he later asked Charlon about it, he received the same warning from him that Chan is now giving him, that he would be killed if he spreads this information. Smithan adds that he has seen Charlon on numerous phone calls that seemed suspicious, yet Charlon always acted oblivious. Realizing that there is indeed someone pulling the strings, Chan acknowledges the information and advises Smithan to be cautious as well. Chan urges him to call immediately if anything happens. Chan heads back to his house after receiving yet another call, fearing it might be the mysterious threat again. However, to his surprise, it's Dairu on the other end. Chan answers the call and Dairu informs him that he tried tracing the number, but the police insisted on obtaining a warrant first. Dairu plans to visit the police station tomorrow to seek permission. Chan expresses his gratitude for the information and Dairu curiously asks what Chan has been up to. Chan casually mentions meeting Smithan but assures Dairu that it wasn't anything significant. Chan proceeds to share all the details with Dairu, who becomes increasingly anxious about the unknown culprit. Chan dismisses the possibility of the Serpent Gang's involvement as they wouldn't send threatening messages while hiding. He believes that Smithan would have been the initial target. Chan emphasizes the need to consider all possibilities and remain vigilant. Dairu agrees, urging Chan to keep him updated if he discovers anything new. Chan ends the call abruptly, but his nerves are still on edge. He dials another number and expresses his desire to hire a private security service. Despite their attempts to clarify the details and costs, Chan insists on opting for the top-tier service without needing any further information. The service provider tries to caution him that the VIP service is typically reserved for serious threats like terrorism or targeted clients with an exorbitant price tag. Chan dismisses their concerns about the cost and instructs them to proceed with the highest level of service. When asked if they should inform the chief, Chan agrees. The chief, Kim Tae-jin, greets Chan over the phone and arranges to meet him in person the following day. Chan acknowledging that he can't protect everyone simultaneously. As the company responsible for the Korean president's security, they are definitely worth the investment. Feeling a sense of relief, Chan appreciates the power of money. Suddenly, he receives another call from Gwangtaek. Gwangtaek shares the news that Do Seok from Namsan Hotel has been attacked and is in critical condition at the hospital. He suspects that the remnants of the parking lot group who controlled the school bullies are behind the attack. Gwangtaek warns Chan to stay vigilant. Chan realizes that if the parking lot group is involved, it explains why Smithan hasn't been targeted. Chan inquires about Do Seok's current condition to Gwangtaek, who informs him that Do Seok is currently in the operation room. Gwangtaek mentions that such situations are common in their line of work, but this time it went too far and severely affected Do Seok's abilities. He believes that this isn't the work of ordinary gangsters and suspects it might be the doing of a professional killer. Gwangtaek assures Chan that he will send some of his men to help and advises him to act unaware and accept their assistance. Chan agrees and admires Gwangtaek's kindness despite being a gangster. He contemplates whether to inform Gwangtaek about the threats they have been receiving, including Dairu's, and ultimately decides to share the information. Chan believes that someone must have found his lost phone from that night at the hotel and used his contacts to target his friends and family. Gwangtaek requests Chan to provide him with all the details and Chan complies by sharing everything. Gwangtaek concludes that it must be the parking lot guys behind all this and assures Chan that they will handle the situation while keeping him updated. Chan ends the call, feeling guilty about Do Seok's situation. He contemplates taking on the head of the parking lot group himself, but ultimately decides to let Gwangtaek handle it. He hopes that the threatening texts are unrelated to Gwangtaek's troubles. Chan understands the importance of staying vigilant to protect those close to him. The following day at school in the sports room, Chan notices some people working and he inquires Dairu about the situation. Dairu clarifies that their facilities were subpar to be considered a sports club, so he made a purchase. Dairu mentions that he used his own money for it and it didn't make a significant dent in his funds. Chan expresses his approval and asks Dairu if he resolved the threat message issue. Dairu explains that a cyber investigation organization investigated the incident and discovered that the culprit utilized a program specifically designed for sending messages from abroad. Chan is puzzled and mentions that Gwangtaek believes the parking lot group is responsible for the situation. Dairu points out that even if they are local gangsters, they can still evade the system by routing it through overseas channels. The cyber investigation group mentioned that it would take some time to apprehend them, but they won't be receiving any more threat messages. Suddenly, Dairu's phone rings and he receives another threatening text. He is taken aback to see the message once again and concludes that they must have used a different method to send it. Dairu asks Chan if he's heading home right away and suggests having dinner together if he doesn't have any plans. However, Chan declines the offer, mentioning that they can do it next time as he has something else to take care of. Later, Chan waits for someone at a cafe and Kim Tae-jin arrives, greeting him. Tae-jin introduces himself as President Kim Tae-jin and another man with him, Director Seo Sang-yeon. Chan takes Tae-jin's card and notices that he has an impressive physique, different from those who solely focus on building muscles for physical strength. Chan wonders if Tae-jin has mastered several martial arts. Chan invites them to have a seat, and Tae-jin mentions that he's already been briefed on the general situation. He asks if there have been any other incidents besides the threat messages, but Chan informs him that there haven't been any. Tae-jin tells Chan that despite the threat messages, he believes Chan wouldn't spend so much money. He asks Chan for any ideas, even if they're just guesses, to improve security for those they need to protect. Chan stays silent. Tae-jin reveals he's from the president's security office and knows some national secrets. Tae-jin assures Chan they can trust him. Chan agrees, suspecting gangsters and thugs are involved, but he's unsure. Tae-jin mentions there are multiple gangs in the country and asks if Chan has any leads. Chan just wants protection for now. The director boasts about Tae-jin's invincibility against gangsters, angering Chan. Tae-jin apologizes to Chan after being scolded. Chan instructs them to locate the individuals responsible for sending the threatening messages if they want to assist. Tae-jin acknowledges and presents a document, stating that once he signs it, they will start providing the service for the people Chan mentioned, discreetly as requested. Chan agrees, signs the document, and emphasizes the importance of ensuring that Professor Suk Kang-ho remains unaware. Before leaving, Chan remarks that the young man is arrogant due to his wealth. Tae-jin speculates that Chan has likely taken numerous lives and faced death multiple times. He suggests that the weaponless king was once similar to him in his youth, leaving Seo stunned but speechless. At home, Chan ponders about the identity of the person behind the threats. If it's the parking lot group, he doubts their ability to outsmart the cyber investigation team. Suddenly, Chan's phone rings, displaying an unknown number. To his surprise, a French voice greets him on the other end. It's Ranork, who reveals that the number is exclusively used by government officials to prevent recording. Chan asks what Ranork wants, and he suggests meeting at the hotel again. However, Chan explains that he has an exam at school tomorrow and suggests talking on the phone instead. Ranork chuckles and insists on discussing matters in person. Chan persists, mentioning that their phone conversation would prevent recording anyway. Reluctantly, Ranork agrees to share his main point for now and says that Charlon is still alive. This infuriates Chan, causing him to slam his table and demand a meeting at the hotel. He is somewhere in Korea and they're doing their best to locate him. Ranork also mentions that there's a high possibility that the Chinese gang betrayed them. Curious, Chan asks how they're so sure Charlon is still alive. Ranork explains that their intelligence agency intercepted a conversation where Charlon contacted someone in France. Chan, reflecting on his own resurrection, believes that anything is possible. He asks Ranork about the details of the conversation. Ranork reveals that desert ice and an enemy in South Korea were mentioned. They're doing everything they can to gather more information as it may be connected to the upcoming elections in France. Ranork hopes that Charlon will make a mistake and attack Chan again, revealing himself in the process. This angers Chan, realizing that Ranrock is using him as bait for Charlon. Ranrock says that they have two choices, and the first is that they eliminate the existence of Chan, and Chan tells Ranrock that they can try their best to do that, but Ranrock diffuses the situation and tells him the second choice. He suggests that they collaborate and take down Charlon. Chan realizes that this isn't up for negotiation and that Ranrock had already considered this plan. Ranrock explains that their options are limited in Korea, so they plan to assist and support Chan for now. They propose helping Chan establish a corporation or taking over an existing one, with all expenses taken care of. This news makes Chan feel even more nervous and confused. Ranrock reassures him that it will be much easier to take action as the president of a corporation rather than as a high school student. As Ranrock expresses their worries, Chan takes a moment to ponder. He then voices his concern that he may not be capable of safeguarding his loved ones all by himself. Chan requests some time to think it over, and Ranrock concurs, emphasizing the need for a prompt decision. Just as Chan prepares to depart, Ranrock halts him once more and suggests obtaining French nationality. Furthermore, Ranrock expresses a desire to collaborate closely with Chan. Irritated, Chan advises Ranrock against acting overly generous and assuming that French nationality holds superiority. With that, Chan exits the room. As Chan steps into the taxi, he finds himself amidst a bustling crowd, a place that allows him to gather his thoughts and find clarity. It dawns on him that the menacing messages he and his loved ones have been receiving might be connected to Charlon's survival. Regret fills Chan's mind as he realizes he shouldn't have entrusted others with the task of cleaning up that day. Anxiety grips him tightly, making him believe that nothing else holds importance now except ensuring Charlon's demise and dismantling his supporter with Ranrock's assistance. Gradually, a newfound confidence surges within Chan, preparing him to confront Charlon once more. Chan was startled by the sound of a ruckus, as if a group of people were engaged in a fight right in the middle of the street. Chan was curious, and he followed the noise and came across some thugs mercilessly attacking Lee and Yunsul. The sight was horrifying, as they were being brutally beaten and stomped on by the goons. However, Chan, thinking that Lee and Yunsul were already leading miserable lives, he chose to ignore the situation. But as the goons continued to degrade and abuse them, Chan's patience wore thin. Unable to bear it any longer, he turned around and charged at the goons, shouting at them to stop. Chan gives them a stern warning, telling them they only have one opportunity to leave immediately. However, the goons completely disregard him and smirk. Without hesitation, Chan swiftly delivers a powerful knee strike to one of the goons' jaws. The others scream and panic while their leader desperately tries to pull up his pants. As Chan effortlessly deals with the remaining goons, the leader is left in a difficult situation, unable to react before Chan knocks him out cold. With all the goons now lying on the floor, Chan realizes that this fight was much easier compared to his previous encounters with Charlon and Smithen. Chan then threatens the goons, ordering them to leave, but the leader still fails to recognize who Chan truly is and foolishly threatens him back. Chan suddenly realizes that this guy might return to seek revenge, so he makes a mental note to always clean up after himself. In a swift motion, Chan stomps on the leader's hand, causing him to scream out in agony. Not stopping there, Chan delivers a powerful kick to the leader's face, shattering some of his teeth and sending him crashing to the ground, crying and trembling. A smirk forms on Chan's face as he taunts the leader, asking if he still wonders who he is. Without hesitation, Chan delivers a forceful punch to the leader's face, leaving the others feeling extremely uneasy. The leader, now desperate, pleads for forgiveness and begs Chan to spare him. Filled with anger, Chan glares at the rest of the group and orders them to take their leader and leave immediately. The other thugs grab their boss and begin to head out, but Chan stops them and requests the boss to give something to help Lee and Yunsul. The boss hurriedly takes off his coat and nervously hands it to Chan before they quickly flee, clearly afraid for their lives. Chan hands the coat to Yunsul for her to use, then asks who those thugs were. Lee explains that they are part of the student gang alliance, and Chan questions why they were fighting. Lee reveals that the gangsters who used to support him and his gang have vanished, and the students who used to attend gang meetings have stopped showing up. Lee mentions that the thugs have ambushed them before, and if they hadn't arrived today, it would have happened again. Chan mocks Yunsul, asking if she keeps wearing so much makeup to hide her bruises, and Yunsul looked really upset. Chan advises her to have confidence and stand up to the goons next time, telling them to leave her alone. Yunsul expresses her gratitude, but Chan remains indifferent. He bluntly tells her that she smells bad and should clean herself before going home. Without uttering another word, Chan walks away, leaving them behind. As he hops into a taxi, he decides to call Dairu and share the news of Charlon's survival. Chan gives Dairu a call, but he speaks in a formal tone and brings up the sports club, which confuses Dairu at first. However, Dairu realizes that their phones might be tapped and that Chan is using coded language. Dairu suggests meeting at school in the counseling room. Chan deciphers the code and the real meeting spot, so he instructs the taxi driver to turn back. They meet in a park where Dairu asks if Chan has discovered who has been sending the mysterious messages. Chan sits down with Dairu and recounts his encounter with Rannork, eventually disclosing that Charlon is still alive. Dairu is stunned and struggles to believe Chan's words. Chan explains that he thought he had taken care of Charlon, but there was a call made to France by someone named Desert Ice. Dairu comes to the realization and admits that there must be someone supporting Charlon, which Dairu agrees with. However, Dairu still believes that sending threatening messages is not something Charlon would do. Chan informs Dairu that Charlon was seriously injured and needs time to recover. This makes Dairu consider the possibility that Charlon is indeed behind the threats. On the other hand, Chan still believes that the threat messages could be unrelated to Charlon. Dairu asks for their next course of action, to which Chan suggests waiting for France to handle the problem initially. If they are unsuccessful, they can then wait for France to ask for assistance. Chan decides to return to his daily routine but promises to remain vigilant and prepare for the worst. Dairu expresses concern about going on the school trip, but Chan reassures him that he will be safer by joining the students on the trip. Chan approaches Dairu to seek suggestions for potential projects that could kickstart his own company. He mentions that Rannork has proposed either taking over an existing company or establishing a new one, which would facilitate future endeavors. Dairu advises Chan to consult Michelle and her friends, as they had previously assisted them with money transfer issues. Chan agrees and subsequently contacts Michelle, who reveals that she has an excellent plan in mind. Michelle inquires of Chan whether he recalls her friend Soyeon, whom they encountered during a presentation. According to Michelle, Soyeon excels in her job but struggles with popularity due to her affiliation with Dai Family, her agency. Michelle proposes that Chan consider taking over the agency, but Chan, admitting his lack of expertise in that field, declines. Michelle persists, asserting that Chan's knack for achieving his goals makes him well-suited for the role. Despite Michelle's invitation to visit her place, Chan becomes annoyed and abruptly ends the call. Curious about Soyeon, Chan turns to the internet to gather information. He discovers that Soyeon's social media presence remains unusually quiet even after securing significant roles and gaining recognition as a TV star. Further investigation into the agency reveals only 3 actresses and no actors, leading Chan to realize that it's a relatively small agency. Despite its size, he contemplates keeping it as a potential option. Chan reflects on his remarkable journey so far as a high schooler, and he thinks about the extraordinary accomplishments he has achieved till now. Several days had passed without incident. Chan had completed his final exams and had begun taking driving classes to obtain his license. The driving instructor was quite surprised and asked Chan if he had prior driving experience. Chan simply smiled and explained that he had played many racing games, which helped him pass the driver's license test. Outside, Dairu met Chan and inquired about his exam. Chan happily reported that it had gone perfectly. Dairu suggested they grab something to eat and they hopped into the car. Chan noticed it was a new car and asked about it. Dairu casually mentioned that it was for Chan. Chan was shocked, noting that the car cost over 100 million won. However, Dairu brushed it off, stating that it was a small gesture compared to the money he had earned thanks to Chan gratefully accepting the gift. Chan hesitated when Dairu suggested he try driving it to celebrate passing his driving test, as he hadn't received his license yet. Instead, Chan proposed they simply go for lunch. As Chan strolled down the street, lost in thought, he became aware of someone trailing behind him. Though he didn't glance back, his mind raced with thoughts of who it might be. Determined, he prepared himself to confront whoever it was. Navigating into an alleyway, Chan patiently awaited the opportune moment. With a swift motion, he seized the pursuer and drew them into the shadows. As he readied himself to strike, Chan suddenly recognized the figure. It was Kim. He halted abruptly, confusion clouding his expression. Kim quickly explained that she had been attempting to surprise him. Curious, she inquired how he had caught on to her plan. Chan remained silent and extended a helping hand to assist Kim to her feet. Kim starts to blush and explains that she thinks she aced the finals, and even though the results are not out yet, she is confident and did not get anything wrong. Kim starts to get really anxious and says that she would definitely be first in their year. Chan was confused at first, but he realizes what Kim was trying to say, and Chan says that he understands what she is trying to say, and he holds her closer and kisses her on her head. Kim starts to blush, and Chan says that they should keep it at this for now. Chan actually feels that she will be in danger if she stays close to him. Summer vacation had finally arrived, and in the sports room, Chan and Daira were having lunch with fellow sports club members. The conversation revolved around the upcoming school trip. Daira took the opportunity to remind everyone that drinking alcohol and evading activities during the trip were strictly prohibited. Cha Soyeon suggested that Chan join them for the trip since he was on vacation starting that day. She pointed out Chan's popularity among the second-year students, but he chose to ignore the comment. After finishing their meal, they tidied up, and Daira reflected on the unexpected experience of going on a summer school trip after dying on that battlefield in his previous life. Chan added that the trip would have been much better if not for Charlon. Chan looks annoyed, and Daira gives him the key to the car to cheer him up, but Chan says that he doesn't plan on driving before graduating. Daira says that there might be a situation where he will need to drive even if he does not want to, and he tells Chan to just take the key, and he tells him the location where he parked the car. Chan finally agrees and takes the keys, and he tells Daira to have fun on the trip. Chan also tells Daira to have fun. Daira is feeling a bit nervous, saying he doesn't want to leave and that he's worried about something bad happening. The next day, Chan wakes up late, and he checks the text from Daira saying that they are about to leave for the trip. Chan then sees a text from Cha Soyeon telling Chan to come on the trip, but Chan smiles and says that it's fine. Chan realizes he has nothing else to do, and he thinks if he should start working out seriously. Chan goes out and tells his mom that he is going out to exercise, and his mom gives him herbal medicine she made and asks him to drink it. Chan drinks up and asks her if she is not having the drink, but his mom says that his happy face is more than enough to heal her. Chan gets embarrassed and starts to walk out, and his mom tells him not to exhaust himself too much. Chan gets a call from Kim, and he tells her that he is planning to use the sports room to work out. Chan reaches the school, and he gets busy working out. He realizes that he has become a lot stronger compared to before, but it is still far from reaching his previous body's level. Chan rests up after some reps, and he sees Kim, who just arrived, and she smiles at him. Chan asks her if she is here to exercise as well, but Kim gets upset and tells him that he is really dense when it comes to these types of situations. Kim says that she is just here to hang out with him. Chan gets back to working out, and Kim says that she is going on a family trip for a day and she will have another day off with nothing planned. Chan starts to get anxious as he realizes where this conversation is going, while Kim starts to blush and asks Chan if he wants to hang out together. Chan thinks for a bit and he agrees, and Kim gets really excited while Chan thinks that she is the one who is actually dense, and he smiles wondering what he should do. Chan gets back home with some more herbal medicine and he gives it to his mom. His mom asks where he got the money, and Chan says he earned some with the translation work he did. Chan then goes to his room to rest, and he thinks about his day, feeling really happy when suddenly he feels a strong pain in his chest and he feels like his heart is beating really fast. Chan thought it felt just the same as he felt in his previous life on the battlefield, and Chan realizes that it is a warning that something dangerous is approaching. Chan gets a call from Daira, and Daira says that they are at the hotel and he received a call and was told to quietly leave the building, otherwise they will kill his daughter. Chan realizes the grim situation, and he asks Daira to send his address and his wife and daughter's numbers. Chan tells him to stay still until he contacts him again and not act recklessly. Chan is stressed and angry, and he decides to call Kim Tae-jin for help. Chan tells him about Daira being targeted and threatened, and Kim says they should ask the police for help. Chan says that the Chinese gang are on edge and the hostages would be in grave danger if something goes wrong. Chan says that he is planning to check Daira's house, and Tae-jin says that it would be easier to locate the hostages if they are close to their phones. Chan receives the text from Daira, and Chan sends Daira's family members' contacts to Tae-jin. Chan packs up some stuff in his bag and leaves when his mom asks where he is going this late, but Chan quickly makes an excuse about the school trip and he says that he is planning to join them. Chan's mom is confused, but she agrees and Chan leaves swiftly. Chan knows he needs to move quick and he decides to take the stairs. He runs down as fast as can while he also calls Daira again. Chan tells Daira about the private bodyguards he hired and asks Daira to pick the phone call from them. Chan runs out of the building and says that he is going to rescue them himself and asks Daira to hold on until then. Daira is getting really enraged and anxious, but he thanks Chan for his help. Chan rushes into a taxi and he calls Smithan. Chan tells him about the situation and says that Smithan might be in trouble too, and Chan asks him not to leave his house for now. Smithan says that he is at the mall and he will go back home as soon as he can, but Chan tells him to leave everything and go to the Namsan hotel quickly and stay in his room. Smithan is confused, but Chan says he will explain later, and he gets another call from Taejin. Taejin says that they found the location of Diaru's family and he sends the address to Chan. Taejin says that they have to protect Chan too, as he is also their client, and he suggests he will go with him to resolve this issue, and he asks Chan to wait at a safe location for them. Chan reaches to the location of his car and he runs to it and starts driving towards the location Taejin provided. Chan pumps the gas hard as the map says it will take 30 minutes to reach the destination, but Chan is determined and thinks he will reach it in half of that time. Chan drives really fast with complete disregard for the traffic rules, and he calls Gwangtaek. Chan tells him everything and says that he will leave the cleanup to him. Gwangtaek asks him to wait for them, and Chan says that he will send the address. Chan finally stops 400 meters away from the destination, and he knows now he has to move discreetly. He checks the glove compartment and takes out a screwdriver, and he steps out of the car, leaving his phone inside. Chan hides the car keys nearby under a patch of grass, and he then checks out the area in front of him, realizing that it must be the area where Diaru's family must be held captive. Chan starts to move in quickly while still trying to be discreet and hidden. He realizes that the fences are too high for him to climb over them, and he can't barge in through the front entrance too. Chan notices a drain pipe coming out from a wall in front of him, and without thinking twice he goes into it and starts moving in. Chan gets inside the area, and in front of him he sees two men guarding the place, and Chan realizes there must be even more men inside. Chan thinks that taking care of the men one by one will be easy for him, but noise will be a problem. Chan gets behind the two men and hides while he takes out the screwdriver as he waits for the perfect moment to attack. Chan hears a big truck making noise nearby as it drives by, and he grabs one of the men and thrusts the screwdriver into his neck. The other man is shocked, but before he could make any more noise, Chan throws the screwdriver straight into his neck and he chokes the one he was holding. Chan tells him that they should never go after his family, and he quickly dispatches the both of them and drags them inside the greenhouse nearby, and he covers them up to hide their bodies. Chan checks their bodies and takes the military knives to replace his screwdriver. Chan starts checking the other greenhouses, and he soon spots one which was covered up, and a suspicious van was parked near the entrance. Chan realizes that there are more people inside that greenhouse, but he cannot figure out how many as it was completely covered up with tinted glass. Chan quickly runs near it and cuts a hole with his knife, and he spots Diaru's family held hostage with 6 other men guarding them. Chan thinks there must be at least 10 more inside the vehicle nearby, and maybe more hiding nearby. Chan starts to think of a plan and thinks if he should just wait for Kim Taejin or Gwangtaek to arrive. Chan realizes that if he waits any longer, then Diaru might get in more danger, and he decides to just rush in. Chan rolls inside the greenhouse swiftly, and the goons get shocked. But one of them already knew Chan, and he asks him if he is the Kang Chan. Chan held the knife tightly in his hand, and he turned to Diaru's wife and daughter held captive in the corner, and he tells them that Diaru sent him. The goons start to rush in towards Chan to attack, and they held knives. Chan throws one of his knives at one of the goons' heads, instantly dropping him. Another goon rushes at Chan to attack, and Chan dodges and grabs the goon's hand and twists it really hard, cracking it instantly, and Chan grabs the goon's knife. The leader gets furious and charges at Chan, and Chan dodges the attack again and attacks the leader's face with his knife. Chan is surprised to see that the leader dodged just at the last second, and Chan only managed to wound his face with the knife. The other remaining goons rush in at Chan, but Chan dodges them with ease while trying to attack them, but Chan soon realizes that these men are good fighters, and Chan started to realize that this fight won't be easy. Chan still held his ground, determined to save Diaru's family, while the remaining goons walk forward ready to fight. A flurry of blows come from both sides as Chan tries to dodge, block, and deflect the knife attacks while trying to deal some damage himself. Chan manages to put down one guy in front, and the guys behind now take their turn to attack. Chan suddenly sees one of the guys rush in towards the hostages to attack, but at the last second, Chan charges in between them, taking a severe blow to his shoulder from the knife attack, but he manages to save the hostages. Chan gets furious, and he instantly slashes the man's throat with a single attack. Diaru's wife and daughter were horrified seeing so much blood, while Chan also realizes that he is wounded pretty bad and bleeding too much. Chan faces the remaining men, and he knows he will lose the fight if it drags on longer. Chan throws both knives towards the men and the knives pierces through two of them, instantly dropping them on the ground. Chan sees that now only 2 goons are remaining and he thinks now it would be easier to deal with them, but the next moment, 3 more goons rush in, but Chan realizes that the men looked like they came here running away from something and they look really scared. Chan sees another man walking and asking why Chan did not wait, and Chan realizes that it is Kim Tae-jin walking and covered in blood. Kim Tae-jin walks towards Chan while the goons just look horrified and shocked. Tae-jin tells Chan to take a break and says that he will deal with them now. The goons get ready as they see Tae-jin readying his weapon. Chan says that it is fine and asks Tae-jin if he could protect the hostages behind them, but Tae-jin says that Chan is also their client and they need to protect him too. Chan is fuming with anger and tells Tae-jin that he wants to slaughter the goons personally, and before Tae-jin could say anything else, Chan rushes in towards the goons, now more confident as now he does not have to worry about the hostages. Chan instantly slashes one guy up in a blink and he moves on to another one. Chan grabs the guy's hand and stabs him on the back, instantly dropping him to the ground. 2 more guys rush in to attack Chan, but Chan is now completely focused and he easily dodges and deflects the attacks. One of the goons charges towards Kim Tae-jin and the goon mocks Tae-jin, but Tae-jin just smirks and punches the goon really hard and the goons drops on the ground. Chan sees Tae-jin and realizes that he does not have to worry about him at all, and Chan focuses on the remaining goons. One goon attacks Chan trying to stab with his knife, but Chan is quicker and he slashes the goon's arm and then he stabs him on the neck. The goon drops to his knees and Chan started to stab him relentlessly until the goon stopped moving. Chan only felt rage and nothing else. He looked up at the last remaining guy and the guy rushed towards Chan while abusing him in anger. Chan and the goon start exchanging blows, each of them trying to deal with the first blow, and Chan finally manages to wound the goon with a slash. The goon gets disoriented and Chan attacks him again in the back. The goon tries to attack again, but Chan smacks him on the face and thrusts his knife into the goon's knee and then he punches his gut really hard. The goon is still standing and gets angrier and he starts to attack using all his remaining strength, but Chan easily dodges the attack and he realizes that the goon is trying to buy some time, but Chan does not want to allow that to happen. So he charges at the goon and kicks him hard with his knee. The goon drops his weapon and shivers in pain while trying to beg for mercy and trying to stop Chan from attacking anymore. Chan does not care and stabs the goon in the neck. Blood spurts out everywhere and the goon drops on the ground. Chan joins with Kim Tae-jin and they hear more people outside, and the next moment, more goons pour into the greenhouse. Chan hears a familiar voice and realizes that it is Gwangtaek along with his men, while Gwangtaek is just confused as he asks if the fight is already over. Chan thanks Gwangtaek for coming and then Chan asks Tae-jin to contact the men who are with Dairu. Chan tells Dairu's wife that they should go to the hotel for now and then they will contact Dairu. Tae-jin says that his men are not answering the phone and Chan says that he will go there himself and check, and he asks Tae-jin to look after the hostages. Tae-jin suggests that they should leave the family with Gwangtaek and they should go together to help Dairu. Chan tells Gwangtaek to take the hostages to Namsan Hotel and take care of the bodies, but Gwangtaek says he will go with them and leave the rest to his men. Chan says that there are more of these men hidden around the city and he asks Gwangtaek to stay with the hostages. Chan and Tae-jin leave in the car. Chan says that he will find out where Dairu is and he asks Tae-jin if he has a gun with him. Tae-jin says he has a gas gun, but it won't be very useful in the fight. Chan removes his shirt and tries to stop his bleeding with it, and Tae-jin suggests he use a bandage rather than a shirt. Chan uses the bandage to stop his bleeding and Tae-jin gets serious and asks Chan who he really is. Tae-jin says it is really hard to believe that Chan is just an ordinary high school student after seeing him in the fight and even his connections with Gwangtaek. Chan stays silent and then he asks if he really has to answer this question, but Tae-jin says that he does not have to and they do not have a right to dig into their client's private life. Tae-jin says that they will protect Chan with all of their abilities, but he plans to use his own methods to find out more about Chan once their contract ends. Tae-jin says that he does not wish to protect an evil person, but Chan says that he does not have to worry about that. Chan calls Soyeon and asks her where they are staying exactly, and she tells him the location, but she says that Dairu went out a while ago. Chan gets really anxious and asks her if she saw Dairu leave, and she says that Dairu went out with 3 men dressed in suits. Tae-jin says that he knows the place, but he is anxious too as even his men are not answering the phone. Tae-jin says that it will take an hour until they reach the location and asks Chan to take a rest. Meanwhile, Dairu is really wounded and tied up and hanging upside down from a tree along with Taejin's men. Taejin is driving towards the location while Chan takes a nap, and Taejin thinks that even after fighting for his life just hours ago and now going to another fight, Chan is just sleeping so calmly, and Taejin is confused about how Chan is sleeping even after being in such a stressful situation, which is even more difficult for people who are trained for this. Taejin just could not comprehend and wonders who this Chan really is. Chan wakes up to the ringing of his phone, and Gwangtaek is on the other side. He says that Dairu's family is safe now, and Chan thanks him for everything. Gwangtaek says that they have also dealt with the bodies and even captured some of them who were still breathing, as they could be useful to them later. Gwangtaek asks how Chan knew Kim Taejin, and Chan says that they met during the recent incidents. Gwangtaek says they will depart in 5 minutes and asks where the location is, but Chan says he does not have to come. They finally reach the location, and Taejin parks the car and he opens up the trunk to look for some weapons. Taejin is concerned and asks what they would do if Dairu and the others left the mountain already. Chan says that their plan wasn't to run away and their final objective is getting to Chan, and they are definitely still in the mountains. Taejin says they don't have to search for them a lot and reveals a small tracker, saying that their company bodyguards have trackers in their shoes. Taejin says they already have a signal, and he asks Chan if they should start moving, but Chan disagrees and tells Taejin to stay and asks him to prevent the police from intervening and find a hospital. Chan confidently says that Dairu will return alive, and he gets ready to leave, but Taejin stops him and he gives Chan his bayonet, saying that it is a treasure and a lucky charm. Chan is confused and asks why he is giving that to him, and Taejin says that Chan must now come back and return it to him. Chan starts moving into the dark forest with the tracker, and he soon reaches the location and sees some men tied up to a tree. Chan is furious when he sees Dairu dangling upside down from the tree, and he takes out the bayonet and gets ready to defend them. Dairu is conscious again, and he is surprised to see Chan, and Chan tells him that his family is safe, and Dairu smiles. Chan is fuming as he sees a lot of men now walking towards them holding weapons, and he stands alone to take on all these men by himself. Chan sees a familiar face and realizes that it's the parking lot group, and the crazy goon grins and asks Chan if he thought he was done with them already, and he mocks them, saying that after them he will go for Gwangtaek. Chan wonders if Charlon is really backing these guys, and Dairu tells Chan that he should just run away. The crazy goon orders his men to kill Chan and the others, while Chan asks Dairu if he forgot who he is, and Chan says that these goons have finally come to him on a silver platter and now he has to kill them all right now. Chan is ready to face the challenge as the goons start to rush in at him. Dairu laughs while still hanging from the tree, and Chan starts walking towards the goons. The goons all smirk and rush in at Chan, and Chan dodges the first attack with ease and stabs the first goon in his foot with a screwdriver. The goon screams in pain, and Chan stabs him in the throat and tells him to shut up and die quietly. Chan senses another man behind him about to attack, and Chan dodges at the last moment and kills him in one blow, but Chan gets a small cut on his face. Chan uses the goon's body as a meat shield while more men start to rush in trying to attack Chan. Chan starts to deal with the others as usual while Dairu is seeing the fight, and he thinks about how Chan and him always avoided killing anyone ever since they changed bodies. But right now Chan is like the captain from Africa again. Chan held the screwdriver in one hand and the bayonet in the other, and he finished off the men one by one. Chan suddenly loses focus and he gets stabbed in the shoulder by one man from behind, and another man rushes at him while abusing him. Chan kicks the man hard before he can attack, but it is still not over and more men surround him and rush at him. Chan dodges the attacks and takes out one more, and he sees that he can still move his arm as the hit on his shoulder did not hit his muscle. Chan still realizes that Charlon must have been preparing for this attack for a long time, as he hired both the parking lot gang and the Chinese gang too. Chan gives it all and tries to dodge every attack. He moves swiftly, but he realizes there are too many of them and he won't last until the end. The men kept coming at him, and Chan defends while still trying to think what he can do to counterattack. Chan suddenly turns back and starts to run into the forest, thinking it would be a lot easier to handle so many of them in the forest. The men start to rush and follow Chan into the forest, but they lose sight of him while Dairu smiles as he understands Chan's plan. Chan takes the stealthy approach and moves silently. He hides behind a tree and grabs one of the men and defeats him swiftly. This is the natural habitat of the god of Blackfield. The other men are slowly getting separated, and one of them finds one of his comrades dead on the ground, and he starts to get really nervous. Chan stood behind him without making any sound, and the man sensed his presence and tried to attack, but his long sword got stuck on a tree. Chan smirks and says that long weapons are unsuited for the jungle, and he takes out his bayonet and stabs the man before he could do anything else. More men hear the commotion and rush in towards them, but they only find their dead friend while Chan hides again. Chan now feels confident and thinks he can recover his stamina like this easily by taking them out one by one. The crazy leader orders his men to forget about Chan and tells them to kill the bodyguards they tied on the tree, while Chan realizes it could go wrong really fast. Chan starts to move and he grabs the sword stuck on the tree and rushes in towards the bodyguards. The goons walk towards the tied-up and helpless bodyguards to attack, but Chan arrives just in time and charges in to attack. Chan finishes one off with one swift slash with the long sword, and he starts to fight with the others. One of them tries to attack Chan, but Chan dodges at the last second, but he gets wounded in the process and gets disoriented when another man hits Chan in the head with a baseball bat. Chan falls to the ground and started to bleed heavily as he slowly loses consciousness, while Dairu is in disbelief and screams. Chan lies on the ground, and the goons ask their leader what they should do with him, and the leader says that they can figure it out later, and for now they should just beat him up until he can't stand anymore, but he tells them not to kill Chan. The leader casually lights up a smoke while his other goons walk towards Chan, when suddenly the leader hears screaming and sees his goon screaming in pain with a knife through his foot. Chan slowly stands up while the leader is shocked to see that Chan could still stand up even after taking a blow to the head. Chan takes out the knife from the goon's foot and he takes his stance again, ready to face the goons, and tells them that from now on they will be facing the real god of Blackfield. The leader starts to get anxious and really nervous, and he feels Chan's aura completely change. The other goon shivers in pain, still holding his foot with a hole in it, but Chan quickly stops his pain from getting any worse and he stabs the goon in the neck. Chan stands confidently, but there are still a lot of men to deal with. The goons start to abuse and mock Chan, and two of them charge at Chan, but Chan deals with both of them in a blink. The leader starts to get really nervous now while Chan smirks and looks really pissed off. A horde of men along with the leader rush in towards Chan, but Chan is now completely unfazed and ready for anything. Chan swiftly slashes one of the men and he blocks another attack and stabs him multiple times. Chan starts to get covered up with the blood of his enemies and he deals with them easily while the men keep rushing in trying to get one hit on Chan. Chan was a one-man army and he was easily dealing with this horde of men. Chan suddenly starts to get overwhelmed, but he thinks of a plan quickly, and the next moment some of the goons cry in pain as Chan stabs all of their feet in a blink. Chan now looks completely like a rabid animal and he counts and sees there are around 40 enemies left, and he is determined to kill every one of them. Chan suddenly comes to his senses and realizes that his priorities are to rescue Dairu and the other, and that is more important than killing all the goons. Chan knows that it will take time to get Dairu down from the tree and free him from the ropes, and he decides he should help those bodyguards first. Chan waits for the perfect moment while the goons are still shocked and also planning their next move as they slowly try to surround Chan again, but Chan swiftly rushes through the horde and he deals with one in front and jumps ahead as fast as he can. The goons try to get a hit on Chan, but Chan is quicker and deals with the ones who block his way, and Chan finally spots the bodyguards in front of him. Chan charges towards the tree while the goons all try to attack him, but every one of them misses the attack. Another goon was almost about to stab Chan, but Chan dodged at the last second and stabs the goon and defeated him in one blow. The goons try to hit Chan from behind, but Chan is still quicker and dodges that attack too. Chan picks up a small knife from the ground and rushes in towards the bodyguards while the goons rush at him from the back. Chan is quicker and he finally reaches near the tree and faces the goons while defending the hostages. Chan mocks the goons and asks them if they are really afraid of a single kid, and he distracts them and starts to run again. The bodyguards suddenly notice the small knife lying near them left by Chan while the goons are busy chasing Chan and trying to attack. Chan stabs another one, but he gets hit on the knee. The other goon orders the others to attack Chan's legs and says that he is getting slower, but Chan is still at his full potential and he kills another goon. Chan mocks them and asks who wants to be next while the goons slowly realize the situation and start getting nervous. Chan is covered in blood and he rushes at the goons again to attack while the bodyguards finally manage to cut off their ropes, and the leader tells one of his men to get Dairu down from the tree too, while the two of them decide to go and help Chan. Some of the goons spot the two bodyguards while Chan shouts at them saying not to fight the goons and get Dairu down and run away. Chan hears the familiar voice saying there is no need for that, and he sees Tae-jin and director Seo walking towards him. Tae-jin says they should eradicate them all now, while Seo is shocked to see the bloodbath. Chan stabs another goon, and he turns to Tae-jin and Seo and asks them why they are here, but Tae-jin tells him he does not have to worry as they already dealt with the police. Tae-jin says that he could not sit still, and he realizes Chan is in really bad condition and he knows they will have to escape once they finish rescuing the hostages. Tae-jin asks Chan to take a break, but Chan tells him to save Dairu first. Tae-jin agrees and says they should charge at the goons at the same time, and they agree to the plan. Chan, Tae-jin, and Seo all start charging together at the goons, and they start dispatching them one by one. Meanwhile, one of the goons was almost about to stab the bodyguard, but the bodyguard grabbed the knife with his hand and held onto it as he tried to stop, when suddenly Tae-jin came to the rescue and he commanded the bodyguards to rescue Dairu first. The bodyguards try to get Dairu down while Chan and the others deal with the horde of goons. They finally manage to get Dairu down and cut off his ties, and Dairu finally stands up on his legs as he holds on to his head still spinning. Chan turns back to check on Dairu, and he says that Dairu owes him his life again and asks him when he is planning on paying it back. Dairu gets pumped, and now fuming with rage, he picks up a sword from the ground and says that he will do it right now and asks Chan to step back. Chan says they should fight together and it will be only a matter of time until they destroy them all, while Dairu smirks and asks Chan to save some goons for him to destroy too. Chan now stands with his comrades by his side, while the leader of the goons now realizes that this was not part of their plan at all. The goons start to panic and they realize they will be in a lot of trouble as there are now 6 of them, and even dealing with only Chan was difficult enough. The goons think about their master, Charlon, and they wonder if he is really someone to risk dying for. Meanwhile, Tae-jin sees the condition of others and sees that there are no casualties yet, but Chan, Dairu, and the other bodyguards do not look too good. Tae-jin sees that the goons are not backing down yet, but they are not recklessly attacking them either, and Tae-jin realizes that the goons are getting nervous too. Chan starts walking forward and he says he will make the first move. Tae-jin tries to stop him and says he will deal with this. Tae-jin talks to the leader of the Chinese gang and starts to speak with him in Chinese, while Chan wonders what they are talking about. Suddenly, the man screams something to his other comrades while Chan is still confused, and Tae-jin explains that he told them that Gwangtaek is almost here and they should back off now. Chan is annoyed, but Tae-jin says that they are his bodyguards and their mission is to protect the client and not to exterminate enemies. Tae-jin says that Chan and Dairu are both at their limits right now, and as the person in charge of their protection, he cannot allow them to fight with their lives on the line. Chan is angry and says that he does not care and they have the opportunity to end this conflict right here, but Tae-jin says they won't have enough time to deal with the bodies, and even if those men deserve to die, if this incident gets out in the open, they will get sentenced to life. Chan is still not convinced and he tries to get ready to fight, but Tae-jin suddenly screams hard at him and he says this won't be the end even after killing all these goons, and if that were the case, he would have fought by their side. Chan is speechless seeing Tae-jin this angry, and Tae-jin apologizes for shouting at him too, and he explains that Chan still has people to protect and their mission as Chan's bodyguards is not over yet. Tae-jin says that Dairu is on the verge of collapsing and they should fall back for now. Chan realizes the situation is actually bad and he finally agrees with Tae-jin. The Chinese gang leader starts to pack up the bodies of his own men, still in disbelief that he has to do this, while Chan is surprised that the Chinese leader spoke in their language. He tells Chan that he won't be seeing them again and next time he will be facing the Korean gang. He tells Chan to win against them or their reputation will fall. The leader leaves with his men and Chan loses all his strength and passes out on the ground. Tae-jin orders Seo to carry Chan on his back and they rush out of the area to meet up with the reinforcements. They try to keep Chan awake, but Chan is slowly losing consciousness and he tries to keep his eyes open while they carry him to an ambulance. Chan opens his eyes as he hears people calling his name and he suddenly sits up and finds himself in a forest and wonders if this is Africa. Chan keeps hearing voices calling him, and as the fog settles, he sees his mother tied up in front of him. Chan tries to walk forward to help her, but suddenly vines shoot up from the ground and grabs onto his hands and neck. Chan falls to the ground as the vines try to choke him and pin him down. Chan heard the voice of his crying mother and suddenly he was starting to get really angry, but he felt helpless as he saw a giant demonic creature holding a sword over his mother. Chan begs him to stop while his mother starts to cry and tells Chan to leave. Chan uses all his strength to stand up and fight the vines holding him, but the giant demon slams his sword into his mother. Chan suddenly snaps back to reality as he sees someone giving him an injection and he realizes that it is the doctor. The doctor smiles and says that it's a shame and he was so close to being able to collect Chan's organs this time, and Chan says that he just returned from hell. Tae-jin arrives and asks the doctor if Chan is alright now, and the doctor says that he will be discharged tomorrow. The doctor leaves and Tae-jin sits beside Chan. Chan asks where Dairu is and Tae-jin says that he is not with them. Chan is confused and Tae-jin explains that Dairu was in the hospital, but he decided to get back to his school trip and he wants Chan to call him once he wakes up. Chan tells Tae-jin to not be so formal with him and they just smile. Chan tries to sit up and asks for water, and Tae-jin gives some water to Chan and tells him that he talked with Gwangtaek when he was unconscious. Chan asks where his phone is and Tae-jin gives him his phone, and Chan sees a lot of missed calls from his mother, Kim, Michelle, and even Smithan. Chan calls Smithan first and asks him if he is still in the Namsan hotel, and Chan says he will send some bodyguards to him and he asks him to talk to them and keep them around for a while. Smithan asks Chan if he is okay and Chan says that he is perfectly fine. Chan tells Tae-jin about Smithan and asks him to send some bodyguards for Smithan. Chan says he will sign a contract as soon as he can, but Tae-jin says that he will send some men right away and even send some for his other friends and family, and Chan does not have to pay and they will even pay Chan back double the contract fee. Tae-jin says that it's a matter of his pride and Chan thinks he should not argue anymore and says that they will talk about this more later. Chan receives the text from Dairu to call him, and as he calls him, Dairu says that he will visit tomorrow and asks Chan to stay in the hospital. Chan tells him to just come back after the school trip ends, but Dairu says that the school trip ends tomorrow. Chan is shocked and realizes that he has been unconscious for a while. Tae-jin suggests that Chan contact his parents first and he stands up to leave. He says that he has placed some of his men outside so Chan does not have to worry about his safety. Tae-jin says he has some stuff to deal with and he will come back later, and Chan tells him he does not have to if he is busy, but Tae-jin smiles and tells Chan again that it's a matter of his pride. Chan smiles and decides to call Ranork, but he hears the dreaded voice. It was Charlon, and Chan gets angry and Chan asks where Charlon is, saying that they should finish this once and for all. Charlon laughs and tells Chan to be patient while Chan is getting angrier, and he asks him if he is scared. Charlon laughs and says that he does not plan on meeting right now, but the people around Chan will be in danger from now on and forever. Chan abuses him, gritting his teeth, while Charlon says that he will call again in 3 days. Chan realizes that Charlon must have investigated everything about Chan, and Chan thinks that he can't face them by himself and he needs an organization of his own to fight them, a strong and trustworthy organization. Chan realizes he does not have any solution right now and he decides to calm down for now and call Michelle. She gets excited to hear Chan and says she was just thinking about him, but Chan interrupts her and asks if she has more information about the company she mentioned. Chan apologizes and says that it is urgent and he needs to know more, and Michelle says that she looked into it more and it seems pretty good. Michelle says that its current president is planning on selling it. Michelle tells him the price and she says that other than Soyeon, the other 2 women are pretty popular too and it will be worthwhile to invest in them. Chan tells Michelle that if she will take care of the company, he will leave it to her, and if not, then they should not do this. Michelle gets excited and starts to blush, and she asks Chan if he is taking over the company for her, while Chan is just speechless and thinks that he would rather buy Taejin's company if he could. Chan tells Michelle to think about it and call back. Michelle says they can discuss this at a restaurant, but Chan says he is busy and has to deal with some things, so he cuts the call. Chan calls his mother and makes an excuse why he could not call her before, and he says that he is having fun with his friends. Chan then asks if he could stay for a few more days. Chan calls Kim too and makes another excuse for her and explains why he cannot meet her for the entire week. Chan finally drops on the bed tired after making so many phone calls and making so many excuses. Tae-jin enters the room and he sits beside him and asks if they should continue their conversation. Tae-jin says that he has a network of people and connections from his previous work and he has a lot of ways to dig out more information about Chan without his consent. Tae-jin says that he still wants to hear from him and he knows Chan won't lie. Chan says that no matter how large his network is, Tae-jin won't be able to find out everything about him, and Chan says that he won't be lying from here on out, but he won't tell him everything either. Chan says that he won't be able to handle the entire truth. Chan told Tae-jin everything that happened to him until now, but he left out parts about his previous life and reincarnation. Tae-jin silently listened to his story until the end without interrupting him, and Tae-jin now understands that the conflict will only end once Chan finds Charlon and kills him. Taejin says that he also wants to hear the details that Chan left out, but Chan says that he won't understand or accept it, which are everything related to his French skills, his relationship with Dairu, and his combat skills that don't match his age. Chan says it would be better if he skipped those for now, and Taejin agrees. Taejin asks Chan why he is sharing everything with him now even when he did not have to, and Chan finally says that he wants his help in catching Charlan. Taejin says that Gwangtaek would be better suited for this task, but Chan explains that Charlan was once the leader of special forces and he has a lot of experience on the battlefield. If he appears with professionally trained men, Gwangtaek and his men won't be of much help. Chan says that this won't be an easy task and Taejin might have to put his life on the line. He can decline the request if he wants. Taejin says that once Chan recovers and graduates from school, he will employ him as an instructor and he can help the younger employees, who will be a great help to them in the upcoming conflict. Chan thinks for a bit and asks Taejin to forget about everything that he said, and Chan says that he does not wish to watch his companions die again, but Taejin calms him down and says that he does not have to answer immediately and they still have time, and he asks Chan to think about it for a while. A nurse enters the room and says that it's time for Chan to go to sleep, and Taejin takes his leave and says he will come back later. Chan opens his eyes and sees Taejin sitting beside him again. Taejin says that he found out some information about Charlan and he was pronounced dead due to a traffic accident. Taejin asks why the French officials are keeping this information in the dark too, but Chan stays quiet. Taejin says that he does not have to talk about it, and he says that when he served in the military, his official mission was to guard the front lines, but the real mission he had received was something else. Taejin says that protecting his allies and bringing retribution to the DMZ was his true mission. Taejin says that his skills were excellent at that time, but then he met the throat slasher. Taejin shares his story with Chan, and Taejin tells him about the throat slasher and how he infiltrated their checkpoint area without getting caught, and he killed people by cutting their throats without leaving any traces behind. They received a special order to stop the man, but that night Taejin was on a mission with his squad. Taejin shared with his squad that they received intel that 7 hours ago an unidentified man crossed over into their area, and they figured that it was definitely the throat slasher and they had the perfect opportunity to end his killing spree. Taejin tells his squad that when the throat slasher tries to return to his post, there are only 2 possible routes he could use. Taejin says they have to be alert and ambush him in both of the locations. They decided to divide their squad in 2 as they had no other choice, but Taejin hoped that the throat slasher would come to his position. Taejin was looking out for the enemy when they received the message that the other squad had spotted the target, and Taejin told them to hold on until they joined the group and keep following the target. Taejin moved towards the target location with his squad, but soon they realized that the other team had stopped responding. Taejin starts to get really nervous and anxious while his other comrade says that the enemy must have subdued the other squad. Taejin shouts at him saying that the other team might be busy in battle, or maybe they turned off their radios to avoid making noise. Taejin still hoped for the best and said they should follow their tracks. Taejin and his squad moved ahead, and they soon found some marks, and the thing that Taejin was dreading the most. They saw their other squad mates lying dead on the ground covered in blood. Taejin felt as if his soul had left his body and he screamed in anger. They see a trail of blood and realize that the target was also injured, and they suddenly see someone far ahead in the forest. Taejin starts to rush in towards the target and tells the others to hold their position. They try to stop Taejin, saying that it might be an ambush, but Taejin is fuming and says that he does not care and they will kill them all if they come at them. The other squad members tried to stop Taejin and said they must withdraw for now, and they held Taejin, trying to calm him down while Taejin kept screaming in anger. Taejin saw the throat slasher right in front of him laughing, but his squad held him down while the throat slasher just walked away free. Taejin says that after that incident he soon got discharged, and he said that if his squad had not stopped him that day, he might have run all the way to North Korea himself. Taejin says that one member who also survived with him is now with the intelligence department, and the other became the leader of that squad. Taejin says that the one in the intelligence department told him not to get involved in the case about Charlan, but there is something that is making him restless now. Taejin says that the intelligence department says that the throat slasher is part of the Chinese intelligence department now. Taejin says that he is in Korea right now, and he is part of the list of people Charlan called before arriving in Korea. Chan is shocked, and Taejin says that the throat slasher entered the country as a representative of a company, and he is currently staying at the Seoul Hotel. Taejin says that he can't approach him right now as he has Chinese agents protecting him, and he is also monitored by Korean agents. Taejin says that the throat slasher will leave with some cargo in a fortnight, and for some reason, he booked the entire ship. Chan thinks for a bit and finally figures it out, and he says that the throat slasher is trying to smuggle Charlon out of the country. Taejin agrees and says that it is possible, and he says that he does not know the throat slasher's name, but he still remembers his face to the smallest detail. Taejin says that he entered the country under the name Waiminguk. Chan understands the plan, and Taejin says that he will kill the throat slasher, and Chan says that he will kill Charlon.